Hi guys, it's me Chaz HD and welcome to the race watch along for the 2019 Austrian Grand Prix here at the Red Bull Ring. It's a very hot race day in Austria and we are looking forward to what is surely going to be a better race than last weekend in France. Simply because look at the starting grid, and I will take you through it in a moment as to what the starting grid is for this race. But the starting grid sets us up honestly for such a good race. There's plenty of battles that are going to be going on between the top four. You know, Vettel coming through the field, possibly Gasly. The battle between Norris and the Alfa Romeos, also Ricciardo in there. And you've got Hülkenberg, Sainz and Albon coming through from lower, and also Kvyat coming through from lower grid positions than they normally would be starting from. So I think we are in definitely for a good race, and hopefully we do get that today and we get a race similar to last year in Austria, which was an absolute classic. So yeah, hopefully we get that. Great to see you guys here as always, and no matter where you're on the world, hopefully you are having a very good Sunday. For me, it is a Sunday afternoon, a very hot Sunday afternoon, and yeah, hopefully for you guys, no matter where you are in the world, you are doing well and you are going to enjoy this watch along with us. By the way, great news, Nib is going to be on the watch along later on, about 15 minutes before the race starts, so he will be coming along for this stream. But first, let's get into the results of qualifying, and I will but I will read out what the starting grid is for this race, because it is quite a bit different from the results of qualifying. So these are the results of qualifying. Charles Leclerc got pole, Lewis Hamilton got second, then it was Verstappen third, Bottas fourth, Magnussen fifth, Norris sixth, Raikkonen seventh, Giovinazzi eighth, Gasly ninth and Vettel 10th. Then Grosjean was 11th, Hülkenberg was 12th, Albon was 13th, Ricciardo was 14th, Sainz was 15th, then it was Perez 16th, Stroll 17th, Kvyat 18th, Russell 19th, and Robert Kubica in 20th. But of course, we have had plenty of grid penalties. Of course, we have grid penalties in terms of reliability for Magnussen, Hülkenberg, Sainz and Albon. And we have qualifying blocking penalties for Lewis Hamilton and George Russell. So the grid is Leclerc from Verstappen second, then it's Bottas in third, Lewis Hamilton will start fourth with Lando Norris in fifth, then it'll be Kimi Raikkonen in sixth with Giovinazzi seventh, Gasly will be eighth with Vettel ninth, and Magnussen will drop 5 places back to P10. Then Grosjean will start P11, Ricciardo will start P12, P13 will be Sergio Perez, P14 will be Lance Stroll, 15th will be Hülkenberg, 16th will be Kvyat, 17th will be Kubica, 18th is Albon, 19th is Sainz, and 20th is Russell. By the way, Russell is starting in the pit lane because he has took on a new front wing, which of course, after Parc Fermé comes in effect as qualifying starts, you cannot do so. So Russell will be starting from the pit lane. So there you go, that is the grid for today's race. And now let's get into previewing the teams and how I think they are going to do. So let's start off with Mercedes, who start from the second row of the grid. This is the first race since Bahrain where Mercedes have not been on the front row. And in that race in Bahrain, they were also starting from the second row of the grid. What can they do in this race? Can they still continue their 100% win record in 2019? They definitely can, but I think it will be tough today because Max Verstappen right now is just driving so well, and I think Verstappen will continue to push very hard and drive and really get, so much out of that Red Bull car today. And Charles Leclerc is definitely in a Ferrari car that is suited very well to this circuit, is going to be hard to beat as well. I think they can definitely win today, but certain things really do need to go their way. For example, if they can, they need to get one of their cars into second at the end of the first lap. If they do that, then I think they honestly can win. But I think again, it really does come down to the start, because Leclerc and Verstappen, they're going to be very aggressive. Even if they do lose position, they're going to be very aggressive in getting it back. So the start of the race is very, very important, and is quite frankly critical to their race, honestly. And if they can get the start right, I think they can get the win, but still it will be a tough one. Hopefully, the two Mercedes drivers, from a Mercedes point of view, do not take each other out, because of course they still are technically in a drivers' championship battle. So hopefully they don't, from a Mercedes point of view, take each other out. And I will say, this will be their toughest race to win in 2019 since Bahrain, for sure. It will be their toughest race to win since Bahrain, because they really did not have that special pace yesterday in qualifying. Next up is Ferrari. Ferrari with Charles Leclerc, of course, it was a great day, pole position, but here comes now the very tough part of the weekend. Trying to, in the 71 laps, win the Grand Prix. And it will be very hard for them to do so, because Charles Leclerc, even though in the qualifying session he did have a very quick car, because Ferrari on race day tend to not be as quick, but also because Charles Leclerc is on the unfavourable soft compound tyre, I think Ferrari are in for a very tough race today. I don't think it will be, if they do win, I don't think it's going to be a race that they will comfortably win. I think the only area they really do have a big advantage in is, of course, straight line speed. So if they do lose position at the start, of course they can absolutely get a position back. But I think Ferrari are in, because they're starting on the soft tyre, they are in for a very tough race today. And I think as long as Verstappen, Bottas and Hamilton get away fine and don't have any issues, I think Charles will be under threat from Verstappen, Bottas and Hamilton massively for the race win here in Austria. But for Sebastian Vettel, all he has to do today, Sebastian, is get past Gasly, the two Alphas and Lando Norris, and then by the time he gets up to P5, if the top four again get away fine, then he is, well, most likely going to be in a very lonely P5, and also he is on the soft compound tyre to start with. So by the time he does get up to that position, he won't really have any tyres left to try and catch the drivers ahead. So for Sebastian, his aim has to be P5 in this race, and anything more than that, of course, is a bonus. But Ferrari today, hopefully for them, they can, third time lucky in 2019, finally get that win. Because if they don't get it this weekend, then I think their chances of getting a race win in 2019 become very, very slim. And of course, last of the top teams is Red Bull. Now, Max Verstappen yesterday did an absolutely superb job to get P3 in qualifying, and now, of course, with Hamilton's penalty, starts in P2. And I honestly think, the more I think about it, because of the tyres he is starting on compared to Charles Leclerc, I think he absolutely does have a great chance of winning this race. I do think he does, because the Red Bull yesterday, and despite Verstappen crashing on Friday, the Red Bull does seem to be a bit closer to the top than they were expected to be. So I think Verstappen, again, will absolutely be in that fight. The one thing, though, Verstappen has to watch out for is Bottas and Hamilton. He has to stay ahead of those two at the start. Of course, he'd love to get into P1, but he has to make sure that he, stays ahead of those two. Because I think if Bottas and Hamilton, or Bottas or Hamilton, get ahead at the start, I think Verstappen honestly will struggle to get back past. But for Verstappen, no doubt about it, because of the tyres he is starting on compared to Charles Leclerc, he can absolutely win this race today. Have no doubt about it, he can win the race. He absolutely can. For Pierre Gasly, though, Of course, poor qualifying, starts in P8. For him, he just needs to finish in the top 6. I think that is the only thing he can really do. Of course, if there is retirements ahead, and if Vettel even retires, then of course he should finish even higher than that. But he has got to beat Norris, Raikkonen and Giovinazzi today. He cannot afford to be beaten by them and even more drivers. He cannot afford to do so, because if he does, then I think Gasly is absolutely done at Red Bull, and his reputation will be even more destroyed than it was after France. But guys, those are the top teams. Let me know in the live chat right now, for the top teams, how do you think they are going to perform? For Mercedes, do you think they can win today? For Ferrari, do you think their soft tyre gamble for starting the race with will work or not? And for Red Bull, do you think Max Verstappen can win today? Let me know in the live chat. And for the next 5-6 minutes, I'll read out some of your comments, and then we will get on to the midfield. A midfield that will be swapping around quite a lot in this race today. But I just want to say, don't forget to subscribe, guys, because I do watch along as a practice to qualifying the race for every F1 race weekend, and I will be doing the same in 2 weeks for my personal home Grand Prix at Silverstone. So make sure to subscribe for that. Hit the notifications bell also. To subscribe, you can either go to the bottom right of the screen and do it right there, or of course go to my homepage and subscribe, and hit the notifications bell, and also smash the like button if you want to see this content continue on the channel. But I'll quickly, guys, have a drink, and then we'll get straight on to your comments. Right, so now let's see what you guys have to say. And wow, there's a lot of people in the chat, almost 300 people. And by the way, thank you to Domenico Lopez, who has super chatted £199. Hasn't put a message, but thank you very much, mate, for doing that. I really, really do appreciate it. And by the way, if you want to super chat, of course, it's your choice if you want to. But if you do want to, I will absolutely read it out, even if it is at the very end of this stream. But now, let's read some of your comments. Peter King says, Ferrari will not win because Leclerc is stupid and useless. I completely disagree. He's not stupid and he's not useless, because, well, if he was that, he wouldn't be on pole position, would he? Sebastian says, I kind of get Ferrari's strategy. If you can do 25 to 30 laps on a soft tyre, then put medium tyres on, then they will be quicker than the rest on hard tyres. And with the soft, Leclerc should get a good start. Well, I think I understand what Ferrari were trying to do with that soft tyre gamble. What they were trying to do is lock out the front row, of course, with Vettel as well. So at the start, they could try and run away from the two Mercedes cars and Max Verstappen. But of course, because Sebastian Vettel was P9 on the grid, now Charles Leclerc is exposed on that tyre. I can't blame Ferrari massively for going on that tyre, because again, I understand what they were trying to do, and I think if they did have a front row lockout, I think it honestly probably would have worked out in terms of getting the race win. But because they only have one car up there, I think they are definitely under threat when it comes to tyres. By the way, Sebastian, when it comes to tyres, I think you're being very ambitious with the soft tyres doing 25 to 30 laps. I think the soft tyres will probably do about 15 laps. And then Leclerc will probably pit onto the hard compound until the end, because medium tyres will not do 55 laps, no way at all. And then the medium runners will probably go until lap 25 at the earliest, or even at the latest lap 30, and again go onto the hard tyre. The reason everyone is going to go onto the hard tyre eventually, unless they are starting on that tyre, of course, is because the heat, and the tyres are very sensitive to heat. Right, let me find some of the comments. Francisco, who do you think will have a strategy advantage, 1 or 2 stop? Well, Pirelli have said that 1 stop is definitely the best strategy for this race. It's definitely the correct one. So, yeah, 1 stop all the way. And I don't think we'll see a 2-stop race unless we have a safety car at a certain point of the Grand Prix. Right, let me find a couple more comments and then we'll get straight into the midfield. Daniel McCluskey, what's your opinion on Leclerc's strategy? Again, I can understand why Ferrari tried to do it going into qualifying, but it doesn't look that great now. But I understand why they tried to do it. Right, let me find a couple more comments. Sebastian says, well, in FP2, Leclerc and Hamilton did 18 laps and said they were still in good condition. I know it's hot today, but I do think that he will go quite long. Well, in an ideal world, if he can go 25 to 30 laps, then Leclerc will be in a great position. But I think if, as we think Ferrari won't have great race pace, then he won't necessarily be able to do that. And I think, honestly, what they are going to try and do is build a gap to the midfield and then pit straight away and get onto the hard tyre and try and do an undercut on those drivers, Verstappen, Bottas and Hamilton, who of course are on the medium tyres. Daniel McCluskey, who do you think will win? I'll get onto that pretty soon, probably in about 25 minutes time. I'll get onto that. I'll get onto who I think will win. BNB Boss, in which position will Gasly finish? I think Gasly will finish in the points, but I don't think it will be P6 or P7. I'm going to go Gasly to finish in 9th. Yeah, I think Gasly will be that poor. Right, let me find one final comment and then we will move on to the... then we'll move on to the midfield. By the way, hello to Ben McCarthy. Right, Mysterious Chris, he says, it just depends on the temperature today. If the race will be generous to the tyres, then the race could be alright for him, and maybe Leclerc could get his first win. And by the way, good evening to Spider Monkey. Yeah, if the tyre wear is better than I am thinking, then Charles Leclerc's chances of winning go up. They absolutely do. But if they are like I think they will be, the soft tyres only going about 15 laps, then it is going to be tough for him to win. But of course, if he does win, it'll be great for him. But now let's go on to that midfield. And first go to Renault, who in qualifying were not really that great. There was nothing really outstanding about them. They were quite slow compared to where they were in the last couple of races. And I think Renault were bitterly disappointed to be P12 and P14 in qualifying. Of course, they start P12 and P15 for the race. Ricciardo P12 and Hülkenberg P15. I think Ricciardo in the Renault can get points because the 2 Haas cars directly ahead of him, of course, will struggle massively with tyre wear, as they always do. So I think Ricciardo will nick a point, but you have to say, I don't think Renault have the pace to get right in there with Norris or Raikkonen. I don't think they have that pace because this weekend they just haven't really been that quick. Their performance this weekend has been similar to Bahrain. They just haven't had a quick enough car to really be in the top 10. I think they will nick a point, but it's not going to be a great race for the team. And I think they will definitely lose out more points compared to McLaren in today's race. But yeah, not looking that great for Renault, honestly. Next up is McLaren. Lando Norris, I think, was very good yesterday in qualifying and will start the race in P5. Now, Sebastian Vettel will definitely beat him in this race unless, of course, Vettel has some kind of issue. So Norris, his aim should be a top 6 finish. If he can finish in the top 6, then I think Norris will be very happy with that. And I think McLaren should honestly be very happy with that if that is the result that they do get. For Carlos Sainz, well, he's starting 19th. So from that position, he just has to go for it. He has a quick enough car to get into the points. I don't think he will, because I think he will come across a lot of slower traffic that will definitely hamper his progress. But I think Sainz will be definitely at times in that midfield very, very quick in the McLaren. So look out for Carlos Sainz coming from the back of the grid up the field. But yeah, for McLaren, they should be getting a top six finish today. For Carlos Sainz, hopefully he can nick a point. That would just be an added bonus considering where he's starting from. And McLaren, you have to say, for the first time in a long time, they really do look good again in Formula 1. Next up is Alfa Romeo, who also, for the first time really since Baku, look very, very strong. Of course, in France they were good, but they didn't look as strong as they were yesterday and really this weekend so far in Austria. So, yeah, great for Alfa. P6 and P7 on the grid. That's their highest starting position for a race for quite a long time. I think in Brazil in 2018 they started there, but in terms of their qualifying effort, it's one of the best races that team, that of course was formerly Sauber, has ever had or has had in the last few years. So great for Alfa Romeo. And I think in today's race, given how the car normally is when it comes to race pace, I think Alfa will be absolutely fine. I think Kimi Räikkönen will definitely finish in the points. I think Kimi is likely to finish, say, 8th at worst. But I'm really hoping that Antonio Giovinazzi can get his first points finish of 2019, because he really does deserve it. He's been very quick this weekend. He's been consistently in and around that top 10, and in qualifying was consistently in the top 10. And I think Giovinazzi does deserve a points finish. And hopefully for him, he can be right up there with Räikkönen, because if he can stick with Kimi, I think he will end up getting a couple points at least. So yeah, hopefully for him he does, and hopefully for Alfa they can get a double points finish and then possibly get up to P6 and maybe get closer to Renault and McLaren in, of course, the Constructors' Championship. Next up is Haas. Kevin Magnussen, I have to say, yesterday was absolutely brilliant in the Haas F1 car. I don't think the Haas car was quite quick enough to finish in P5. So great performance there by K-Mag. And, well, even though he drops 5 places on the grid, he still starts in the top 10. But because, of course, Haas are so bad when it comes to race pace, I don't see how Haas finish in the points today. Romain Grosjean starts P11, and of course he is the first man to start the race on whatever tyres he wants to, but again, Haas are so bad when it comes to the race that I don't see how they will finish in the points. I think Ricciardo, for example, is a lot more likely to finish in the points. I think even Hülkenberg from P15, or even Carlos Sainz and one of the Toro Rossos are more likely, and even a Racing Point are more likely to get that point. So I think Haas will struggle today with tyre wear. The only thing they can really do to give themselves a great opportunity of points is to have a great start and to get really into the midfield and try and stay in that top 10 for as long as they can. But if they stay where they are on the grid, P10 and P11, or drop back, then the race will just get even worse for them. Next up, Toro Rosso. Qualifying was definitely not good. Danny Kvyat, of course, got knocked out because basically Russell very dangerously blocked him in qualifying, and that really did cost Kvyat, I think, a very high grid position. I think Kvyat could have been P12, P11 for this race. So that's a shame for Kvyat, but I think despite them starting 16th and 18th for this race, I think they can get near the points. But if you're asking me honestly, I don't think they can get into the points, because I think they have a bit too much work to do to get to that point in the race. They're going to need, say, similar reliability issues to last year's race if Toro Rosso are to get in there for a point. So, yeah, Toro Rosso, they just haven't really had that great of a weekend. I think qualifying pace-wise, they were doing okay, but again, nothing special. And I think in the race, even though race pace for them normally is a strong suit, I think they will drop back. Not drop back, but I don't think they will be up in the points. I think Renault, McLaren and Alfa are definitely a lot more likely for a points finish. And the final team in the midfield is Racing Point. And good news for Racing Point, because of grid penalties for other drivers, they start P13 and P14. Now, qualifying was terrible for them. They absolutely did have the worst car in the midfield yesterday. But because we know how their race pace is, and now that they're starting from a bit higher on the grid than they have in the last couple races, I think Racing Point are right in there for a point. I think they can absolutely get a point, because as we know, Perez and Stroll are very good at managing tyres and being very consistent when it comes to race pace. So definitely look out for Racing Point. And of course, look out for Lance Stroll, because we know that he is very strong at the start and when it comes to race pace also. So definitely look out for them. They could end up nicking a point at the end of this Grand Prix. And finally is Williams, who will be, of course, at the very back. But guys, right now, in the live chat, let me know, out of the midfield, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think Renault can finish in the points today? Where do you think McLaren will finish? And do you think Lando Norris will be very strong in the midfield? For Alfa Romeo, do you think they will get a double points finish? For Haas, do you think, like me, they're going to drop back, or do you think they will nick a point? For Toro Rosso, can they do anything from where they're starting P16 and P18 on the grid? And for Racing Point, because of their elevated grid position, do you think that that is enough for Racing Point to go out there and get a points finish? Let me know in the live chat, and for the next, say 5 to 10 minutes, I will read out your comments in regards to the midfield. But again, I'll have a quick drink and then we'll get on to your comments. Right. So now let's see what you guys have to say in regards to the midfield. Annette says Renault could sneak into the points. I know you were very disappointed with Renault yesterday, and I thought they would improve from how they were in practice, but they didn't really improve by as much as I thought they would. So yeah, very disappointing for Renault, no doubt about it. Let me just see some other comments here. Count Blah asks, how did that whole K-Mag thing not get investigated after he messed up so many people in qualifying anyway? I don't remember anything about K-Mag, honestly. Well, let me find some other comments here. Just looking. Games Donovan says, Danny Rick looking good today. He is in his element. He will score big points today. Austria has never been the best track for Ricciardo. He did get a podium here in 2017, but if you look at his history here, he's never really had, say, consistently good races here. It's always been the result, say, less than he was expecting. So I think at best he will finish 9th or 10th. I don't think he's going to, rocket up into P7 or anything like that, because again, Ricciardo's never really had consistently great races at this circuit, and it's definitely not one of his best tracks in Formula 1, no doubt about that. Freak77 7 power. Do you think Verstappen will crash into Leclerc in the first corner? I will say I do think it is likely because Charles and Max are going to be so keen to get their first win for their team but also themselves in 2019. So expect a very aggressive Max Verstappen down the inside at turn 1, and Leclerc I expect to be very aggressive when it comes to defending his position for the first, say, 3 or 4 corners. So yeah, it definitely could happen because they're both, 21 years old, I think, and they are both very keen to get the win today. No doubt about that. Francisco says Alfa Romeo versus Norris will be amazing. I'm not sure about amazing, but it will be interesting to see if Norris can pull away from the Alphas, because the McLaren car is better, but of course the Alphas in a straight line are very good with that Ferrari power unit that is so good right now. So it'll be interesting to see, of course, as well with 3 DRS zones, if Norris can pull a gap to Raikkonen and Giovinazzi, because that will be very important in the race today. Mysterious Chris, do you think Nicholas Latifi should replace Kubica? I think honestly that's very likely to happen. Sorry to any Robert Kubica fans, but I honestly think that is very likely to happen because Latifi has been not amazing in F2, but he has been pretty good, and he does have quite a financial backing and is also a reserve driver. So I think honestly it is definitely one of the driver moves you need to look out for 2020. No doubt about that. Sparky HD, Gasly out, Kvyat in. Any comments? Yep, I fully agree. I think Kvyat deserves to get back in that car. Gasly has not been good enough. He really hasn't. He's had enough time now to get used to that car and to improve, and he hasn't. He really hasn't. In fact, he's getting worse in that car at the moment. So yeah, I think Kvyat does deserve a second chance, and I think Kvyat will do better in that car. I know some people think that possibly the Red Bull is actually not that great and Verstappen is doing so well with it, but I don't think, like, Verstappen has been great this season, but I don't think he's been getting that much out of the car. I don't think it's a Fernando Alonso 2012 situation compared to his teammate at the time, Felipe Massa. I don't think it's that much of a gain on what Verstappen is doing with the car. I think definitely there's a lot more drivers out there that could do better with that car. Verstappen has been great this season, but let's not act like he's had a great teammate or a good teammate. He definitely deserves, I think, a better number 2 to him in that team. Right, let me find a couple more comments and then we'll get to the tyre situation, because of course in the extreme heat today, tyres are critical. Right, let me find a couple more comments. Williams world champions, Forza Ferrari, Forza Leclerc, I'm seeing there. And the final comment I'll read out before we go on to tyres is from Harith Zach, who says, Ocon is reserve driver for Mercedes. I don't think Red Bull would replace Gasly with him, or would they? I can absolutely guarantee you now, Gasly will not be replaced by Ocon. No way. Red Bull are either going to put Kvyat or Albon in that car if they replace Gasly. They're not going to go away from their driver academy. Yes, there are drivers out there that if they weren't so reliant on their academy, do deserve a look in, such as, say, Kevin Magnussen. But why should they give up on their driver academy that has been so successful? So yeah, if Gasly gets dropped, it's either going to be for Kvyat or Albon. I don't see it being for anyone else. But right, we'll now move on to tyres. And here you go. These are the available race sets for all the drivers in the race. And again, tyres are very, very important for this Grand Prix. Now, for the majority of the teams, if you're able to start on the medium tyres, then that is the best way to start this race, is to start on medium tyres and then go to the hard tyre to finish the race. But of course, Leclerc, Norris, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Gasly, Vettel and Magnussen, because they qualified in Q2 on the soft tyres, they have to start on those tyres. So those drivers will be, most of them, going from the soft tyre to the hard tyre to the end. But I will say, if you look at Sebastian Vettel, because he does have, Sebastian Vettel, 2 new sets of soft tyres, to try and get himself, say, up the field a bit quicker, he could try a 2-stop, because he does also have a new set of medium tyres. And if he was to, say, put on another set of soft tyres around lap 20 and then go to lap 40 and then put on a set of mediums, that should be good enough to get to the end. So if Sebastian is trying to get up the field a bit quicker, they could do that. But most likely, I think Vettel will go from the soft to the medium. But if tyre wear is better today for Ferrari than they are expecting, than we are expecting, sorry, then they could go to the medium tyre. But I think most likely, to be safe, they'll go soft to hard. And then if you look down the grid, you can see Carlos Sainz has plenty of tyres to play with. I think Carlos Sainz will go medium to hard. I think Racing Point, honestly, will probably go hard to medium, because I think they did that in France and it worked out in getting them up closer to the points, that strategy. And of course, Raikkonen and Giovinazzi, they'll have to start on the soft tyre. They'll go to the hard to get to the end. And Toro Rosso, you can see right there, have plenty of tyres to play with. But when it comes to tyres today, you're going to want to be on, to start the race, you're going to want to be on the middle compound, which of course is the medium, yellow medium C3. But definitely, if you are starting on either the medium or the soft, you have to end the race on the hard tyre, because that is the only really logical way to finish this race. So they absolutely, the teams, if they can do so, need to do that, because tyre wear in this heat is very, very important. And if you have watched Formula 1 for the last couple of years and seen how the tyres perform, you would have noticed that with these Pirelli tyres, they are very sensitive in terms of tyre wear to temperature. Whenever we come to a race where the temperature is hotter, then the harder compounds of tyre tend to work better in the race. For example, look at France, where everyone was going to the hardest possible compound that they could, and it worked out very well for everyone. And anyone who was on the softest really did struggle in France, such as Gasly and Giovinazzi. So because of how hot it is, the harder the compound, the better the result you can get for sure. But the softer the compound, especially if you go on the C4 soft red compound of tyre, then you are really giving yourselves a tough job to finish either where you started or to progress in this race. So yeah, tyres, because of the extreme heat, the track temperature, I believe, is going to be over 50 degrees Celsius for this race. Tyre wear and tyres are going to be very important, just like they were at Paul Ricard in France. But guys, we are now going to get on to my predictions for the 2019 Austrian Grand Prix race. Make sure, guys, in the next 20.5 minutes to put yours in the live chat, and I will read out every single prediction that I can before the race gets underway. So make sure to do that, and I'll read out what your top 3, top 5, top 10 is for this race. But now, let me get on to mine, and also I'll bring Nib in about 3 or 4 minutes to get his. So, winning this race, yes, I'm going for it, Max Verstappen, because Max this weekend has been driving so well. The Red Bull car, as we know, is better in terms of race pace compared to qualifying pace, and I believe Max will be extremely pumped up in front of what is, let's be honest, a home crowd for, from the country he's from, but also for the team. He will be extremely pumped up for that, and he will absolutely go for it and try and get the win. And I think he will get the win because I think his tyre wear will be good, and I think he will have enough speed when it matters to get the race win. If he does get the race win, that will be his second straight win in Austria, and Red Bull are looking for their second straight win at, of course, their home race. Of course, it is the Red Bull Ring. That's why it is their home race. In second place, I'm going to go for Charles Leclerc. For me, Leclerc will have very strong pace in the first 5 or so laps, but after that, he will start to struggle. May lose a slight bit of time to Verstappen, Bottas and Hamilton, and then I think we'll have to pit a bit earlier than he would want to, and I think that will give Max Verstappen a good advantage over Leclerc when it matters. But I think Leclerc will finish in second because this is one of his most favourite circuits in the world, and the Ferrari car is still performing well, and I think he will finish in P2. And then in P3 will be Lewis Hamilton. Now, to explain my top 3, I need to explain how I think the top 4 are going to do in the race. So, at the start, I think Leclerc will maintain the lead ahead of Verstappen. And then it'll probably be Bottas third, Hamilton fourth, because the run to turn 1 is very short, so it's hard to make up positions at turn 1. It's definitely a lot easier to make up a position at turn 3 than it is at turn 1. But what I think will happen is, Leclerc, Verstappen, Bottas and Hamilton will get away in grid order at the end of the first lap. And then I think that Hamilton, because Valtteri Bottas is still in a drivers' championship battle with Lewis Hamilton, he will not let Lewis through. But because Lewis is the better driver and has been the better driver this weekend for sure, Lewis eventually will find a way past. But because Bottas and Hamilton will kind of be holding themselves up, having their own battle, I think that will allow Verstappen and Leclerc to just about have enough speed to finish in first and second. But I will say I expect the top 4 to be separated at the end of the race by, say, 8 to 10 seconds. It's going to be very close, but I think Hamilton will finish in P3, and then Bottas will finish P4, Vettel will finish in P5, and then I'm going Norris in P6, Raikkonen P7, and then P8. I don't know, maybe Giovinazzi, and then after that I'm going to go Gasly and Ricciardo for my top 10. But yeah, I think Verstappen will win today from Leclerc second and Lewis Hamilton in third. And now I'm going to bring Nib in to get his prediction for this race. First off, Nib, for the streams, great to have you back. And what is your top 3 prediction for this race?
Yes, it is good to be back after a few issues which I had last week, which prohibited me from being on stream. But I'm certainly looking forward to this race, and it is now time to get in my predictions, which I have just come up with on the spot as per usual. So winning this race for me is going to be Charles Leclerc. Of course, I predicted a Ferrari win in our podcast during the week, and I still think that that will be the case. And I think Charles Leclerc will get his first win in the red of the Scuderia outfit. In second place, I think it is going to be Max Verstappen who finishes there. I think the Red Bull's taken a step forward this weekend, certainly under the driversmanship of if that's not even a word, under the guidance of Max Verstappen, of course, not so much Pierre Gasly. But then in third place, I think it's going to be Lewis Hamilton. And because, I've gone for a pretty similar top 4, I don't think that will mean it will be a boring race or anything like that. I think this is going to be a very good race. So those are my predictions for the top three. But I'm certainly looking forward to this race, and I think if Max is going to be anywhere near Charles Leclerc or near the lead of this race, we're going to hear those Dutch fans screaming their absolute heads off, as we've certainly seen them dancing like lunatics during qualifying. So, as we can just see them on screen now, and everyone waving Nicky Lauda hats. I think it was 60,000 Nicky Lauda hats, red Nicky Lauda hats were given out in the grandstand. So fantastic to see. Everyone, of course, paying tribute to Nicky there. But yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to this race. And of course, I think we'll now move on to the people's in the chat prediction, because I can certainly see a lot of them.
Yep, I can too. But before I read them out, I just want to say again, don't forget to subscribe for more watch-alongs like this, because we will do watch-alongs, of course, for the rest of the season, and again in 2 weeks' time for practice 2, qualifying, and the race. So don't forget to subscribe for that, bottom right of the screen, or go to my homepage, subscribe, and hit the notifications button. Also, smash a like if you want content on this channel like this to continue. But now, move on to this picture with 13 and a half minutes to go until the race starts, and let's see where the start of these predictions are. Let me just go to the first one I can find, and then we'll get reading them out. So, George Tanner, Leclerc, Hamilton, Verstappen. Gina says Hamilton, Bottas, Leclerc, Verstappen, Vettel. My predictions for your predictions are the same. Leclerc, I don't know what the person's meaning. Rise goes for Leclerc, Verstappen, Hamilton. MG says Leclerc wins. Sparky HD says Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen, Leclerc, Vettel. Annette says Leclerc, Verstappen, Hamilton. Leclerc wins, says another person. James Donovan says Leclerc, Bottas, Vettel. Martin Smalley says Max to finish in P4. Avamua, I think it is, says Bottas, Leclerc, Hamilton. Halam says Norris podium. Walton Gaming says yes, I want Leclerc to win. B&B Boss says Leclerc, Verstappen, Hamilton, Bottas, Vettel, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Magnussen, Ricciardo, Norris. Georges says Leclerc for the win. Simon says Leclerc, Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen, Vettel, Norris, Sainz, Ricciardo, Gasly, Kimi. Right, let me find some more. Peter King, Hamilton, Mad Max, Bottas, Vettel, Leclerc. Right, let me see if there's any others. Hold on. Harith, Zach, Leclerc, Verstappen, Hamilton. Jungle Brothers says Lewis, Leclerc, Bottas, Verstappen, Vettel, Norris, Ricciardo, Gasly, Sainz, Magnussen. Keenan Lewis says Hamilton, Verstappen, Leclerc, P5, he says. Maybe he means P3, I don't know. Louis Trishard says Vettel to win. From Hamilton second, Leclerc third, Bottas fourth, Norris fifth, and Kimi in sixth. By the way, Nesu, who asks, what's your opinion of Gasly? I think Gasly's terrible. I think he's absolutely terrible. Right, let me see if there's any others. If I can. By the way, I'll just ask you, Nib, about the midfield for this race. It's very mixed up. What do you expect for the midfield, and who are you really looking out for in the midfield today?
McLaren will be the best in the midfield. Williams will be the worst, if you even count them as part of the midfield. And then from that, I don't really know. I think with how hot I say with how mild it's going to be in Austria today. But anything can really happen because of the tyres, as we've just got a little image there of the Dutch fans going bananas as usual. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this race, not only in the midfield. Hopefully, it's not just going to be about the midfield. Hopefully, there's a battle at the front, and that's where hopefully our attention is focused from today's race.
Yeah, hopefully we have a similar race to, say, Canada. I think that'd be pretty good. But, you know, at best, if we could get a race like Bahrain, that'd be absolutely incredible. But I think a race like Canada, I think if we get that, we'll be all happy for sure. Right, let's read out some more predictions in the chat. Sebastian says Leclerc, Hamilton, Max. Han Solo says Hamilton, Verstappen, Leclerc. Martin Smalley says Vettel, Leclerc, Bottas, Hamilton. Verstappen fan 33 of course goes for a Verstappen win. From Leclerc second, Hamilton third. Rex 4x4 says Hamilton, Bottas, Vettel. Matthew Casey says Max, Leclerc, Lewis. Carl Lindsay says Hamilton for the win. Verstappen first, Leclerc second, Norris third. I just saw there. Matthew Felton, great to see you, mate, says Hamilton to win from Verstappen and Leclerc, Bottas. He says Ham again. I think he means Vettel. And then Gasly P9. Hold on a minute. Just missed that comment from Savage Savs. Leclerc first, then Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas. Paul says Hamilton and Bottas first and second. James Evans says Leclerc, Hamilton, Max, Bottas, Vettel, Norris, Kimi, Ricciardo, Giovinazzi and Gasly. Kyle Greenwald says I have Verstappen P1 leading after the first lap from Leclerc P2 and Hamilton P3. Right, let me find some more. Let me just see if there's any others. Alex Sutty, I think it is, says Leclerc, Verstappen, Norris. Ethan says Leclerc for the win. Matthew Casey says Max, Max, Max. Jim Plus X says Hamilton, Leclerc, Max and Bottas will have an issue. Right, let me find some others if I can. I think I've read everyone's out. If I have missed yours, make sure, and then we've got another one. Brendan Colohan, I think it is, says Hamilton, Leclerc, Verstappen. If you haven't put yours in or have missed yours, make sure to put it in the chat, and I'll make sure to read it out, as we are now 7.5 minutes away from the race, or the formation lap, getting underway. Just to let you guys know, if you are new to our watch-alongs, of course we cannot show live footage of the race for obvious copyright infringement laws. If I did that, then there would be no Chazza HDF1 to speak of, because the channel would be took down immediately. So of course we are not going to do that. But what we will do is provide basically a radio style commentary for what is going on. So don't worry, we'll keep you up to date with everything that is going on during the race. I'll also have, soon enough, a running order running along the bottom of the screen, which of course will be updated as soon as to what the actual order of the race is in Austria. And also, we will have in the top left where the timer is, because I still don't have a lap counter, what I'll put is either formation lap has started or race has started. If you want to know what lap it is during the race, we will make sure to read it out every, I don't know, at most 3 laps, but 2 to 3 laps. We'll make sure to read out, what lap we are working on. So as long as you listen, you'll know what is going on. And if you look on the screen to see what the order is, when we don't read it out, then it should be, most of the time, absolutely up to date, unless we have plenty of overtakes and I have to update it constantly. But yeah, that's what we do here. And we'll be getting underway for the formation lap in just under 6 minutes time. So we now move on to a Red Bull picture there. And also, the imagery during the race will be pictures from the race that I will collect from Twitter and then post on the screen to show you guys what is happening during the race. I'll try to post as many as I can. I can't promise I'll have an absolute ton, but I'll try to post as many as I can of what is going on at the race today in Austria. But keep putting your predictions in the chat if you haven't already, and I'll make sure to read it out very, very soon. And let me just come back to the chat to see what you guys are saying. Still I Rise says Max will take out Charles Leclerc, possibly at the first corner. It could happen. Definitely could happen. Friction says Leclerc to win from Hamilton second, Verstappen third, and then Bottas, Vettel, Norris, Raikkonen, Hülkenberg, Gasly, and Sainz. Pedro Goldfinger, great to see you, mate, says Leclerc to win from Hamilton, then Verstappen. Let's see if there's any others. I don't think there are any others that I've missed. Prosecutor says Leclerc, Verstappen, Hamilton. Erodi, great to see you as well, says Hamilton, Verstappen, Leclerc. Connor Chapman, great to see you as well, mate. He says Leclerc to take his first F1 win, Hamilton will get second, and Verstappen will finish in third, beating Bottas. And Martin Smalley also says all cars will be lapped up to P5. Yeah, very likely. Also because it's a very short lap here, and the top 4 cars, especially because of where they're starting, will have a big pace advantage over those other cars. As we are now 3.5 minutes away from the formation lap. Let me just see. I'm just looking now. So the track temperature is currently sitting at a very, well, as Nib would say, mild 51.5 degrees Celsius. The air temperature is about 33.5 in Austria. As I'm just going to actually post a picture of the drivers a moment ago lining up for the national anthem, as we are getting very close now to the formation lap. And we're just seeing all the information, as they normally do for the F1 intro, on the screen. But let me now try and get this picture up for you guys, if I can, as they now take us through the starting grid. So it's Leclerc, remember, on pole from Verstappen, then Bottas and Hamilton, and then Norris and Kimi. And here is that picture. And then it is Giovinazzi, Gasly, Vettel, Magnussen, Grosjean, Ricciardo, Perez, Stroll, and then who is it? Hülkenberg, Kvyat, Kubica, Albon, and then Sainz, Russell. Russell, though, in the pit lane, of course. Here is your running order, and here's your starting order for the race. There you go. As we're now 2 minutes away from the formation lap. And yeah, so we're getting underway very, very shortly. I'm going to post another picture of the man who I think will win this Grand Prix, as the Dutch and also Red Bull, you have to say, Army are out in force. Let me quickly post a picture on the screen of Max Verstappen, who will be absolutely going for it at turn 1. As we now have 1.5 minutes to go to the formation lap. Nib, for tyres today, do you think they're going to be as critical as they were, say, in France and Canada in terms of wear on the softer compounds?
I'm not too sure, because some of the latest readings that I've seen for the track temperature have it nearly at 60 degrees, which of course is very mild. But I'm not too sure, because of course this track isn't as demanding on tires, but still at that heat, who knows? Who knows?
Well, remember last year, tyre wear in similar heat was very, very poor for some people, such as, what was it, Hamilton and Ricciardo especially. They were really struggling with tyres. And of course, when you're racing with people, that is going to hurt your tyres even more. So if we do have a lot of people out there racing hard, then that will really wear out the tyres. But the formation lap is about to get underway, so let me quickly just get this text going. The formation lap hasn't literally started, but it basically is about to. And I'll update that to race has started once it actually does. And so everyone outside the top 10, 11th down to 20th, are all on medium tyres. The only drivers on soft tyres are Leclerc, Norris, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Gasly, Vettel and Magnussen. As the formation lap is underway, there was a yellow flag briefly there, but the car got going. I think it was Norris in the McLaren, but formation lap is now underway in Austria, and great to see we're already into 1,200 people watching live. So great to have you all along. Hopefully you will enjoy what should be, hopefully, a great race at the Red Bull Ring, as this formation lap will not, I think, last very long because, of course, it is the shortest lap of the season. So they're basically already halfway through that formation lap as they are warming up their tyres. Big gap back to Norris there from Hamilton. So I don't know what Norris is doing. Maybe holding up the pack so he doesn't have to sit on the grid too long. Maybe McLaren have some overheating issues. I don't know, but Norris very far back in the pack at the moment compared to the front four. And there is on the TV the Max Verstappen army out in force, ready to see their man possibly get another win in Austria. By the way, I'll post a picture of the action on track as soon as I can get one, but for the moment I'm going to have to leave that picture on screen as the start of the race is coming up very, very soon, as here comes Leclerc, Verstappen, Bottas and Hamilton, as it says on the screen. Ferrari on the TV, it says Ferrari have not won in Austria since Michael Schumacher won in 2003. So Ferrari looking to break their duck basically around this track, as now the top 10 come onto the pit straight. The Williams and Russell is about to come out of his pit box to come into the end of the pit lane. And we are now very soon going to be getting underway. So can Charles Leclerc get his first win at the Red Bull Ring, or will it be Max Verstappen winning Red Bull's home race once again? We are about to find out here in Austria as the final cars on the grid line up, with Toto Wolff looking very, very anxious. And here we go, the start of the Austrian Grand Prix. As the lights come on now, it's 3, it's 4, it's 5, and it's now go at the Red Bull Ring. And Verstappen's had an absolutely terrible start. Leclerc is now comfortably in first place. Bottas is second, and McLaren's third. It's Lando Norris, but Lewis Hamilton will get a great slipstream on Norris and surely get past up to turn 3. Here they come now. Hamilton round the outside of Norris, and he does comfortably, I think, get the move done. No, he doesn't. Norris gets him back, but I think Hamilton gets a better exit. He does, and Hamilton should beat Norris down to turn 4. Norris are in the slipstream, and he won't go for it, but there's Kimi Raikkonen right round the outside of Norris. Great move up to P4 for Kimi Raikkonen, and the Red Bulls are now together on track. Vettel is ahead of Verstappen as well. So Verstappen is down to about P7 as they now come through to the end of that first lap. And the Red Bull there of, I think, Verstappen really close behind Vettel, but nib, an absolute shocking start for Verstappen as Raikkonen being challenged by Norris. But yeah, shocking start for Verstappen.
He had a typical Red Bull Mark Webber start there, did Max Verstappen, but it's all gearing up as Kimi Raikkonen and Lando Norris seemingly wanted to go side by side into every single corner on the first lap of the Grand Prix. But an absolute nightmare and a start that you did not want if you were Charles Leclerc. Of course, he is, of course, maintained his first place, but now he has both Mercedes behind, and of course, coming later into the race, Mercedes can use strategy in their favor as one of the Racing Point having a look at one of the passes there, but not quite close enough. As I think we're going to have a bit of a train forming behind Kimi Raikkonen for quite a few laps now, as everyone is just going to be waiting to get past. And Nico Hulkenberg is ahead of Daniel Ricciardo now, as I'll just run through the order quite quickly. Leclerc in first, Bottas in second, Hamilton third, Raikkonen fourth, Norris fifth, Vettel sixth, Verstappen seventh, Gasly eighth, Giovinazzi in 10th, Kevin Magnussen in 10th, Perez in 12th, Hulkenberg in 12th, Stroll in 13th, Ricciardo 14th, Grosjean 15th, 16th is Sainz, 17th is Kubica, 18th is Albon, 19th is Kvyat, and 20th is George Russell. And that brings us just onto the start of lap 3, as we've got Sebastian Vettel looming very large in those mirrors of Lando Norris. But so is Max Verstappen, looming large in the mirrors of Sebastian Vettel. But he's certainly not close enough yet to do anything about that.
No, he isn't at the moment, but I have to say the big losers at the start are Max Verstappen, of course. Also, Romain Grosjean, who is currently battling for position with Carlos Sainz, I believe. So that's not good. And Sainz has got past, actually, so let me quickly update that. So Carlos Sainz up to 15th. Very good start for him. But yeah, Grosjean having an absolute mare at the start. And Albon has just got up to 17th. Ahead of Robert Kubica. But yeah, Verstappen, absolute shocking start. Soon as the lights went out, he went absolutely nowhere at the start. So he now has, well, I think a bit too much work to do, to be honest, to get into any type of podium position for the moment. Kimi Raikkonen, by the way, looking pretty good in the Alpha. He's pulled a gap now to Norris, as Vettel now is really closing on Lando Norris. Will he go for the move down the inside? Yes, he does. And Norris, almost contact there between Vettel and Norris. But Norris, I think smartly, kind of giving way there, because he knows that Vettel is comfortably faster. But Norris is going around the outside, though. Will he maintain position? No, he won't. So Vettel is now up a position into P5, and now behind his former Ferrari teammate, Kimi Raikkonen, who I would imagine will not make it that difficult for him to get past, as not Verstappen there getting very close to the back of Lando Norris. And Verstappen is, P7, as we're now on lap 5, I believe, out of 71. And I'm just looking at the order to see if there's any differences in the order. I don't actually know. There is. Perez has got past Magnussen somewhere. So Racing Point, as I said, looking good. As now, here comes Max Verstappen on Lando Norris up to turn 3. Will he go for it? He's going to have to. And no, he doesn't get the move done. So he stays behind.
Too far back.
Yeah, too far behind. Just a bit. But he might not be going down into turn 4. Will Norris defend? Yes, he does. Verstappen goes round the outside. And Norris very nicely defends his position, which of course he is entitled to do. And Norris will stay ahead for another lap. So, bad news there for Verstappen. Vettel also still behind Kimi Raikkonen. And Charles Leclerc, by the way, does have the fastest lap already so far here in Austria. As now they come Verstappen, Norris, Vettel and Raikkonen across the line, starting their lap 6. And Verstappen, and here we go, race start. Nib, I'll let you take us through it.
Well, as we can see, Max Verstappen not getting away whatsoever. And of course, long-time fans, as you can see, he's already behind Sebastian Vettel into turn 1, and Vettel goes clean around the outside. And of course, great start there by Lando Norris getting ahead of Lewis Hamilton. But there you go. Absolutely horrific start there by Max Verstappen. He's very lucky it's not a very long run down into turn 1. Otherwise, he could have been right at the back of the field. That's how bad his start was. And he's kind of thrown away a very good chance of of potentially a podium today. But fantastic start there by Vettel, as being highlighted there, clean right around the outside, getting past Giovinazzi, Gasly, and Verstappen. And here's a replay of Norris, very, very close with Kimi on the first lap, and a replay of Vettel getting past Kimi Raikkonen up into turn 3, eventually getting the car stopped. But that is more of the optimum line in the race, as it's a bit better for the tyres. You don't have to rotate the car as much, not putting as much strain on the tyres. As now we've got Max behind Lando Norris here, coming up into turn 3. Is he going to do the move down the inside? Yes, he is. A nice and easy move there for Max. But of course, Lando is now going to have... No, he's not going to have the DRS. Max has got the DRS, and that is a comfortable move there for Verstappen up into P6. Defends the inside line, but that is all she wrote. And Norris, of course, up into P3 momentarily on the first lap, now finds himself down into P7. And I'm sure that soon he might be starting to come under pressure from Max Verstappen's teammate, Pierre Gasly.
Yeah, he might do. I'm not too sure if he will, though. But interesting to know, it's not a surprise, but Haas are completely self-destructing because Kevin Magnussen has been passed by Hulkenberg, Stroll, and he was passed about a half a minute ago by Daniel Ricciardo and is now under pressure from Carlos Sainz. The Haas are basically done in this Grand Prix, as we are now on lap 8 out of 71. Leclerc leads by 2.6 from Hamilton in third. Hamilton quite a way off at the moment, you have to say. And then Vettel on the soft tyres, of course, 10.5 behind Leclerc. Raikkonen is still looking pretty good. Here comes Verstappen, though, at turn 4, but he's not close enough. It's Verstappen, but Carlos Sainz has just passed Kevin Magnussen. The Haas are absolutely dreadful right now. Oh, Magnussen's got back past. We're not seeing it right now, but yeah, Magnussen back past. But once Carlos Sainz does get back past, as Magnussen is under investigation for something, for out of position at the start, that might be him starting slightly ahead of his grid slot. But yeah, Haas are really looking bad so far. As now Verstappen, as we're now on lap 9, comes onto the pit straight and is now going to try and launch an attack at Kimi Raikkonen for P5. Again, though, Kimi, his pace is pretty good. He's 2 seconds clear of Norris in the McLaren. So Kimi really looking strong. But here comes Verstappen. Raikkonen won't defend because he is very smart. And yet lets Verstappen go through. So Max Verstappen up to P5. Now, what can he do about Sebastian Vettel? Well, Vettel is about 3.5 seconds clear of Verstappen, but Verstappen is on the better tyre. So if Verstappen can just forget about what's happened and get on with his race, he should be able to start catching, slowly but surely, Sebastian Vettel, as Sainz again has passed Magnussen. Hopefully this is permanent, and I believe it is. So Carlos Sainz looking good. P14, he started in 19th. Did Carlos Sainz, as we're now on lap 10 out of 71. Let me just quickly put a picture on screen of the racing so far, as Leclerc still leads by 2.6 seconds to Valtteri Bottas. Hamilton 5.6 off Leclerc in third. Vettel about 10.5 behind Leclerc in fourth. And then Verstappen is almost a pit stop behind Leclerc already. He's about 15 seconds behind.
Pit stop's about 21 seconds, so we've got quite a way to go there.
As look at that, Albon past Grosjean, and Grosjean now coming back at Albon, but Albon gets a move done. Look at
that's Russell.
The Williamses are faster. What is wrong with Haas? They've got no speed whatsoever. The Haases are all over the back of them. The Williamses are all over the back of them. Grosjean tries to come back at Albon, but Albon ain't having any of it. And Albon gets up to 16th.
Now, Grosjean got pushed off the road there. Did you not see that? It got pushed off the road.
But so Grosjean's down to 17th, and Albon will make Magnussen his next victim in a moment. As, by the way, everyone who started outside the top 10 was on started this race on medium compound tyres, just to let everyone know. As Charles Leclerc on lap 11 is about 3 seconds clear of Valtteri Bottas. And yeah, look, the Williams is faster than Grosjean. What is going on? As now Albon, look, is all over the back of Magnussen. Magnussen is on soft tyres, so his car must feel like a boat. And here comes Albon, round the outside at turn 3. And he drives round him like Magnussen isn't even there. Pass are so bad. So bad. Magnussen will come back, though, round the outside at turn 4. Will he get the move done? I think he will. He does, just about. Good racing there by Magnussen. He has a really poor car right now, but at least he is, trying everything he can to do something with what is an absolutely shocking car right now. Leclerc, 3.3 seconds clear of Bottas on lap 12. Leclerc looking, I have to say, after lap 12, very strong. And look, Norris has already caught Raikkonen. So Norris has improved his speed and caught Kimi Raikkonen. And I think now does have that DRS open. And Magnussen has pitted already. So Alex Albon is up to P15. And Magnussen will go to the back because that's how close everyone behind was. Even the Williams is. Grosjean 16th. Russell is within... Was he within DRS? No, he's not anymore, but he was for a time within DRS of a Haas, which is incredible. Kvyat, weirdly, is still 18th, and not really putting Russell under pressure. And Kubica 19th, and Magnussen is in 20th place after he has, of course, pitted. But right now, the closest battle on track is, and the most interesting battle on track, you have to say, is the battle for 6th between Norris, Raikkonen, and Gasly. Not in that order. Raikkonen is the one ahead of Norris. Norris and Gasly both have DRS on Kimi Raikkonen, so this is going to be interesting to see if Raikkonen can hang on this position. Norris kind of dummies to the inside. And Norris gets a pretty good run off that corner. Drive-through penalty for Kevin Magnussen. So his race is basically over. Here comes Norris round the outside at turn 4 of Kimi Raikkonen. Will he get the move done? No, he'll try the switch back through the corner, but I don't believe that will work. The McLaren looking really quick right now. And definitely Raikkonen is now the man under pressure in the midfield. Yeah, Norris very, very close to Raikkonen. By the way, Sebastian Vettel is actually closing the gap to Charles Leclerc. It was 10.7, now it's 10 seconds, but Leclerc is pulling away from Bottas and Hamilton, so Ferrari really looking good on the soft compound tyre right now. Vettel, you have to say, is really in this race as we're now on lap 14 out of 71. And you have to say, Nib, Kimi definitely holding these two drivers up.
That is for sure. I think it is only a matter of time before Norris is able to get past Kimi here. He's going to try and dive it up the inside into turn 3. Forces Kimi to go a bit deep, but that is a fantastic move there by Lando Norris. Nothing wrong with that. And now Pierre Gasly is going to look at to try and get involved, but he doesn't have DRS. I'm not too sure why on Kimi Raikkonen, so that's kind of hampered that any potential move there by Pierre Gasly. But fantastic move there by Norris. He had to catch Kimi off guard, and that's exactly what he did. As we're seeing the reason why Magnussen got his penalty, and that is exactly why, as you can see, not in his grid box correctly.
He's ahead of it.
Yeah, he's ahead of it. You can just see that, and that's why he has got that drive-through penalty. And yeah, what an absolute disaster this race has been so far for Haas. It's been absolutely shocking.
Absolutely has. They're currently 16th and 20th. Magnussen pitted for tyres. Now has a drive-through penalty, so he will probably finish somewhere near the back. As Raikkonen still close to Norris. He's got DRS. But you'd expect Norris to start pulling away as Gasly's getting very close to the back of Kimi Raikkonen. Just trying to post a different picture for you guys of what's going on at the circuit. This was when Verstappen got past Lando Norris. As Raikkonen is still within DRS, so Lando is not fully away yet from the Iceman. As just looking at the order, nothing has changed so far from the last time I updated it. But yet currently lap 16 out of 71. It's Leclerc leading as Kvyat passes Russell. It's Leclerc leading from Bottas, Hamilton, Vettel, Verstappen, Norris, Raikkonen, Gasly, Giovinazzi, Perez, Hülkenberg, Stroll, Ricciardo, Sainz, Albon, Grosjean, Kvyat, Russell, Kubica, and Magnussen. Magnussen, I think, has just took his drive-through penalty because he's now half a minute behind the Williamses. Yeah, Kvyat now past Russell. Kvyat really not moving up the field that well. As what's this? This is Gasly and Raikkonen still got DRS on Norris. And Norris still under threat for P6. And this is, at the moment, the only battle. Here's a replay of Hamilton locking up at turn 4. That's the highlight of their race so far. Nothing really going on in the top 3. And then I assume he did so again. No, that was very pointless replay, that second one. But the tyres there, front tyres on the Mercedes, not looking that great. Raining up quite a bit. But Leclerc, as Max Verstappen does a new fastest lap, 109.2. But Charles Leclerc leads on lap 17 by 3.7 from Bottas. And then Hamilton is 2.3 behind Bottas. Vettel, only 3.5 seconds off Hamilton. And then Verstappen about 5 seconds behind Vettel. Norris is 6th with Raikkonen and Gasly within DRS of him. And then Giovinazzi, P9, about 2.5 seconds back. And then Perez, Hülkenberg, they're all in their own clean air. But the only battle on track right now is Norris, Raikkonen and Gasly for 6th place. As the Mercedes right now, despite being on better tyres, are not really making an inroad into Leclerc's lead that much. It is I don't see why they're showing this. That's not a mistake by Hamilton. If you're not out there doing that, maybe not precisely that, but if you're not out there doing that, then you're not taking turn 1 as properly as you should be. But you have to say, Niv, Charles Leclerc, pretty comfortable in the lead.
Yeah, we expected the soft tyres to be really starting to struggle by this stage, but the gap is, over the last couple laps, has sort of stabilized at this 3.7 second gap. So looks like the soft tyre is losing a little bit of its performance, and that over the next couple laps we'll start to see that gap perhaps start to come down, as we've got Gasly trying to find his way past Kimi Raikkonen here. And he's very close. Hasn't got the greatest exit, but with DRS and the slipstream, he should be able to get past Kimi Raikkonen. He's going to have to go the long way around the outside. Lots of brake dust coming out of that Red Bull. He's going to try going around the outside, but you're not going around the outside of turn 4 and around the outside of Kimi Raikkonen there. Pretty simple. As I just said, we expect that gap to come down. Charles Leclerc set fastest lap of the Grand Prix. And guess what? Has been beaten by his teammate who has just set fastest lap of the Grand Prix. He's beaten him by 0.2 there. So looks like Ferrari just might be trying to use up a bit of their tyre, thinking all these tyres actually aren't as bad as perhaps we even thought. Get some performance out of them before they then make their pit stop.
Yeah, the soft tyres are doing very well because, Leclerc did the fastest lap and then Sebastian Vettel broke it by 0.2 of a second, as Vettel now only 3 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton. As here comes Gasly again on Kimi Raikkonen. Tried to dummy him. but doesn't work. Does a switch back, and he should get the same run he did the previous time. So Raikkonen will defend the inside. Gasly will come round the outside. No, dummies to the inside. But Raikkonen is way too old and smart for that. And Raikkonen stays ahead in P7. Norris now has comfortably pulled away from Kimi Raikkonen. So Norris now looks like he's in a safe P6 for now. And then the only other gap that looks to be a bit close is Stroll, Ricciardo and Sainz. Ricciardo and Sainz are kind of close to getting DRS. But at the moment, they're not close enough. Another 0.3 of a second, and one of them will get DRS and maybe start making a move. As Leclerc is still pulling away from Valtteri Bottas. He's now pulled out another half a second, and Vettel is closed in another half a second on Hamilton. So Ferrari really quick right now on lap 20 out 71. Here comes Gasly again, and he's not close enough for a move. Maybe he will be down to turn 4. He gets an okay run out of the corner, but I don't think he will be close enough into 4. No, he won't. As also, Sergio Perez is slowly but surely catching Giovinazzi, as Robert Kubica has pitted. In the Williams, he started on the medium tyres. So, a bit early for a medium tyre runner to pit, but there you go. And there you go, there is a pit stop. Williams, I have to say, they do have the best pit crew in Formula 1, because I believe in France they had like a 1.9 second pit stop. So,
yeah, the last 3 races they've had the fastest pit stop, but that is because I've noticed they drive like absolute snails into the actual pit box. I think that's why everything's very precise. Let me guess, we got a replay here because Hamilton's ran a little bit wide. Yes, once again, he's run a little bit wide. I'm not too sure why we're seeing that replay. Of course, you don't want to be running out that wide, but I don't think that that's actual graining on that rear left tire. I think that might just be a little bit of pickup, to be perfectly honest. But now, as we can see, Gasly is going to try and make a move on Raikkonen into turn 4 once again. Kimi going super, super defensive, but you can't overtake at turn 4. We're seeing this time and time again. Unless you're clearly ahead and got the inside line into the corner, it's very difficult to overtake at turn 4. And we've got a Mercedes, a Valtteri Bottas, in the pit lane for some hard tyres already.
Yeah, here comes Vettel in the pits as well. Oh, they almost released him. That might give actually Lewis Hamilton a chance to jump him if he does a great...
Oh, they're not ready.
Vettel, his tyres weren't ready, and he gets away about a 6.1 second stop. That's 3 seconds slower than it needed to be. Ferrari then called a pit stop, but way too late, as now Vettel will join out in traffic behind Gasly and Raikkonen on the hard compound tyre. So that won't be good for him. So Hamilton out to second with that pit stop. Verstappen is now third. Let's hope that Ferrari are going to be ready for Charles Leclerc pretty soon. Bottas is fourth, and then it's Norris in fifth, as Gasly has DRS but still isn't really close enough. Sainz, by the way, is right up Ricciardo's gearbox now, as here comes Charles Leclerc, race leader. Hopefully they're ready for Leclerc. Yes, they are. What tyres are they putting on? Hard compound tyres, as they absolutely should. And he will now come out surely ahead of Valtteri Bottas. That is a Williams and a Haas. They've already lapped those cars. So
There's
right,
Bottas in the background, but he's going to be comfortably ahead.
Absolutely. And here is that pit stop. And yet Ferrari simply were not ready for the pit stop. I assume one of the engineers called him in literally as he came into the last couple corners, because normally those teams are ready for a pit stop. But and yeah, they're very angry of that. Very, very angry of that for obvious reasons. As Vettel passes Gasly for 7th. Of course, Vettel has pitted. I'm just going to try and update the order because, of course, Charles Leclerc has pitted. So Verstappen is now second, and then Charles Leclerc is third, but Leclerc again has pitted.
Well, what I assume had happened there with Sebastian Vettel is that they've seen that Valtteri Bottas and the Mercedes are in the pit lane. They've called Vettel in and they just simply weren't ready in time. As it looks like Hamilton is going for a potential overcut here on Valtteri Bottas.
Raikkonen
As
in.
we've got Raikkonen into the pit lane now, which releases Vettel into some clean air, which he would have had, of course, if he didn't have a 6.2-second pit stop. But now whereabouts will Kimi Raikkonen come back out? Will he come out in some traffic or will he not? Looks like it's going to be very good, very solid stop there by the Alfa Romeo team. 2.6-second stop. Can't be complaining about that. That is for sure.
Absolutely not. And he comes out in 16th place or 15th place ahead of Romain Grosjean. I'm just trying to update the order quickly before we get any more pit stops. So Vettel up to 6th, Gasly 7th, and then by the way, Carlos Sainz has passed Daniel Ricciardo on circuit. We haven't seen it, but Sainz has passed Ricciardo. He was a couple laps ago right behind him. So that was a move that was always coming. There's a replay of Vettel passing Pierre Gasly, but I do want to see Sainz on Ricciardo because that is surely a feisty battle. Perez is up to 9th. Hulkenberg doing well up to P10, and then P11 is for the moment Lance Stroll. Perez has passed Giovinazzi because Giovinazzi has pitted. So let me just quickly update that. So Perez up to 8th. And then Nico Hulkenberg is 9th. Ricciardo, Albon have all passed Giovinazzi now. Stroll up into the top 10. Racing Point for the moment looking good. As you said, Nib, I think Hamilton is going for an overcut. And so Stroll is P10. P11 is Sainz, who has been very good today as Carlos Sainz, as Lewis Hamilton has done, I think a lap or two ago, the fastest lap of the race. So Hamilton, for the moment, looking very, very quick. Ricciardo's P12, and then it's Albon 13th, and then it is Raikkonen in 14th, and then 15th Grosjean, and 16th is...
And he's had a bit more of a moment there. Bit of oversteer as he's pushing quite hard. I must say he's lapping at about the same pace as we've got Norris and Gasly now coming into the pits for some hard tyres. Everything looks smooth as per usual down at Red Bull, and also a very good stop there by the McLaren boys for Lando Norris. 2.3-second pit stop. But as I was saying, it looked like Hamilton and Bottas were in very similar pace. And of course, Hamilton, it hasn't pitted yet. And the gap that you need for a pit stop is 21 seconds, and Bottas is 19.3 seconds behind Hamilton. So he'll come out ahead of Hamilton there. But that's Giovinazzi there getting past Grosjean quite comfortably. Up into 14th place there is the Italian. But we're just kind of waiting now to see what Hamilton and Verstappen are doing. They're lapping at very similar paces, those who have pitted. So there isn't really much harm in them staying out longer because, of course, when they do pit and when they come out, they're going to have fresher tyres and they're going to be stronger towards the back end of the Grand Prix.
Absolutely. By the way, Kimi Raikkonen is still ahead as Nico Hulkenberg has pitted. Kimi Raikkonen is still ahead of Pierre Gasly after that first and what is to be only round of pit stops. So there you go. Yeah, Hulkenberg is in the pits now, so let me update that. The order, of course, is updating all the time. By the way, we are on lap 27 out of 71. We're not even at half distance yet. So don't worry, plenty of time to go to see even more action in this Grand Prix. So Ricciardo gets up to 8th with that. Or Norris has just passed Albon. And then it is Raikkonen in P11, then Gasly in P12. By the way, Giovinazzi looks as though he's gained on Gasly during the pit stop phase because he was 2.5 seconds behind. Now he's only 1.5 behind. So Giovinazzi looking good. He's in 13th for now, but is in a net P9, I think. P14 is Grosjean, and then it is Hulkenberg. Also, Stroll pitted. So Stroll is in 16th and is about 2.7 behind Hulkenberg. So Stroll 16th, and then it's Kvyat, Russell, Magnussen, Kubica. But we're still waiting for Hamilton and Verstappen to pit. Let me just quickly put a new picture on the screen. As Lewis Hamilton on the last lap was almost... And here, that's a Williams coming in. I thought it was a Mercedes. Lewis Hamilton on the last lap was 6.5 tenths of a second faster than Max Verstappen. Hamilton giving it everything now. By the way, as Williams come in.
That's Verstappen quicker.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I thought it was Hamilton pulling away. So Verstappen gaining that time. He's only 6 seconds behind. And look, Nib, look at the gap between Verstappen and Vettel. It's very close between them if Verstappen was to pit now. Very close. So I think Verstappen...
Yeah, a couple of seconds in it.
Yeah, so Verstappen could be ahead of Vettel if he continues at the speed he's going at. There you go. There's a picture of when Ferrari messed up their stop by bringing out tyres too late for the 4 times world champion, who is currently in P5 as Sergio Perez has pitted. So let me update that, and here's a replay of Vettel on the TV on lap 22 having that slow stop. So Sainz is now up to 6th. Then it's Ricciardo, Norris, Albon and Raikkonen as... What the hell is that for? New front wing? Don't know what that's for. Maybe that's what the replays are for. Maybe Hamilton's breaking his front wing on that curve on the exit of turn 1. Who knows? But Norris is 8th. And then it's Albon as Sebastian Vettel does the fastest lap. A 1:08.7 on lap 30 out 71. Raikkonen is 10th. Then we got Gasly 11th. Gasly is back within DRS of Raikkonen, as Raikkonen is now trying to pass Albon. P12 is Giovinazzi, and Perez has rejoined in P13 ahead of Hulkenberg in 14th, and 15th is Roman Grosjean. So that is for now the order. Is Hamilton coming in? Yes, he is. Lewis Hamilton on lap 31 pits as Verstappen has been continuously gaining on him, and they're going to put a front wing on the car. Are they? Are they putting a front wing on? Yes, they are. Front wing comes off for Hamilton. This is a disaster for Lewis Hamilton.
He'll come out behind Sebastian Vettel.
He absolutely will. That'll delay him by what? 5-6 seconds. 11-second pit stop. That's 8 seconds slower than it should be. So Bottas is ahead. Where's Vettel? Here they come. There he is. Sebastian Vettel up to 4th. Hamilton now, you have to say, is in a net P5, because I think Max Verstappen will easily jump Hamilton. So I think, Niv, that's why we've been seeing replays of Hamilton at turn 1. He's been damaging his own front wing, I think, at the exit of that corner possibly, because we have seen this weekend front wings getting damaged over the exit curbs of some corners. So Hamilton down to 5th. I'll update that in a moment. I just want to show a picture of Lewis Hamilton on the screen. Here you go. This was him before he pitted. So Hamilton now work to do, and if he's going to finish on the podium, it's going to have to be a great drive from a net P5. Here comes Verstappen in the pits. By the way, Leclerc has gained time on Bottas. Leclerc now 7 seconds clear, and yeah, this is what it is then. He's damaging his front wing over the curbs. So that's driver error by Lewis Hamilton. We can't see it exactly where it's damaged, but it's probably enough to lose him pace.
Yeah, a couple of laps ago, he lost quite a bit of pace noticeably, and it was informed on the radio that he had some front wing issues. So that is why they've decided at Mercedes to change Lewis Hamilton's front wing.
And Verstappen has just pitted and come out ahead of Lewis Hamilton, but just behind Sebastian Vettel. Well, not just behind, but I think he's closer than he was before. So there you go. Albon has not pitted, but has been passed by Raikkonen and Gasly. So let me update that quickly. So really, you have to say Albon, as Gasly has passed Raikkonen, we're not seeing it though, which is really annoying because we're watching his teammate, but Gasly has passed Kimi Raikkonen for P9. Yeah, I know, FOM, they're absolutely terrible. They have no idea what to watch. They think just watching the top runners is what people want to watch. No, we want to see racing. We don't want to see cars lapping on their own. But no, Gasly up to P9, Raikkonen P10. That is for a net. And here we go. We're seeing it as a replay when it should be live. So Gasly undercuts Raikkonen through turn 3, opens the DRS, and blasts past down to turn 4. So
Finally.
Gasly is up to a net P7. And now needs to start catching Lando Norris. As Ricciardo and Sainz, by the way, are still out on track. They haven't pitted. The cars that haven't pitted yet are Sainz, Ricciardo, Albon. Kvyat has just pitted, but also Grosjean, I don't believe, has pitted either. And Grosjean, Grosjean is in for an awful result because he's 16th and hasn't pitted. So yeah, Haas not looking good at all. But I just want to quickly show a picture of as Russell after the pit stops he's not ahead of Kvyat, as Kvyat has come out the pits and let Verstappen through. Here is though when Lewis Hamilton had his front wing changed for a new one because of damage to it. There you go. As I'm now going to update a couple positions. So Giovinazzi is up to.
Also,
no, go on.
I've just noticed that on my timing screen here, it's got Lando Norris on medium tyres. So I'm not too sure if that is completely accurate, but if that is accurate, Lando Norris is on another set of, well, not another set, but he's on medium tyres.
That is interesting that they've gone for that, but I guess they have a reason for that, if that's what they're doing. But I'm just looking to see if the order is correct. There's one small one I need to do, and that is Stroll ahead of Grosjean for 15th. And I will say Bottas is starting to close in on Leclerc. Bottas is absolutely gaining on Leclerc because Leclerc had a 7-second lead a few laps ago. We're now lap 35 out 71. That's officially halfway through the 2019 Austrian Grand Prix. Just to say, thanks for everyone in the live chat right now. We have a lot of people watching. Great to have every single one of you along. And if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as we do watch-alongs for every single F1 race weekend for practice 2, qualifying and the race. And we'll do the same for Silverstone in a fortnight. So yeah, don't forget to subscribe, bottom right of the screen. Or go to my homepage, subscribe, hit the notifications bell, and smash a like as well. As Charles Leclerc, as I said, he was losing time to Bottas. Now does a new fastest lap, a 1:08.3, as he now starts the second half of the Austrian Grand Prix. And we've got Perez now past Albon. Albon also is another person who's really going nowhere in this race because he hasn't pitted and is 13th, unless he's going to put soft tyres on at the end. Yeah, right now, you have to say everything has kind of stagnated. So, yeah, the race not looking great at the moment. Hulkenberg is now within DRS of Albon, and I think Hulkenberg is about to pass Albon. Yep, Hulkenberg has passed, and Albon is in the pits. By the way, great to have you guys along again, and also for every single one of you watching, about 1,600 of you, thank you guys so much, because you guys really do make this stream how great it is. So thank you guys for coming along and being part of the stream and making it so great, because you all do. But Hulkenberg is now 13th, Stroll is 14th, and Albon is P15 after having pitted. And you have to say, Nib, this race hasn't been that great, and I don't think we are in for a classic end to this race. Do you think?
We could have some hope, because I think later on in the race that maybe Carlos Sainz and Daniel Ricciardo are going to make a bit of a charge through the midfield, as they're going very long on their medium tyre stint. So there could be a bit of action here. And I think potentially with Max Verstappen, he's looking very, very quick this afternoon. Pity about his start, because otherwise I think he would be up there challenging, say, Bottas or even Leclerc at the moment. So it's a real shame about Max's start, but of course, start is very, very, very important. And I must say that Hamilton hasn't exactly been very quick since his pit stop. I don't know if they turned some engine modes down, but he hasn't been very quick since his pit stop. I think there was a couple of laps where he lost about a second to half a second for a couple of laps to Bottas and to Verstappen. So yes, and he just lost half a second once again to to at least Verstappen there. So Hamilton not too quick at the moment, that's for sure. But yeah, Norris, as I mentioned, he is indeed on that medium tyres. He's now catching up to Daniel Ricciardo, and is of course now within DRS, as we see the DRS wide open as they're heading down towards turn one. It's lap 38 now. So we are past half race distance, and it seems as if the first part of this race was going quick, but the second, it's starting to slow down. It certainly is, as Norris very quick in a straight line there. I thought he was going to have a look at Ricciardo then, but now pretty solid exit actually there by the Renault. And I don't think Norris will be close enough there to Ricciardo. No, he won't. He'll have to go the long way around. Even though he does have fresher tyres, that's just not going to work. And Ricciardo manages to hold on at least for another lap here, as of course Ricciardo has not pitted. He's on 37 lap old medium compound tyres.
Also,
interesting to
just to say, Gasly, you can see, is very quickly catching Norris. Gasly on the hard tyres. And also, as you said, I think you said a couple moments ago about Verstappen. Verstappen is also catching Vettel. So there are fights out there that could spring up in a moment. But for now, it looks as though it has settled down quite a bit. As, yeah, the field has stayed the same for now. And Norris goes down the inside of Ricciardo. Ricciardo turns in very aggressively, and I think had every right to do so, as Lando Norris just really put his nose in there, didn't really go for it. It was like a half-hearted football tackle, as Martin Brundle would say. As now Gasly right on the back of Lando Norris. And as long as Ricciardo can stay ahead, then he should be, pushing along and pulling away from certain other drivers, and maybe he can be a possible contender for points late on, because I think, honestly, given how tyre wear has been, I wouldn't be that surprised if Sainz and Ricciardo go to the soft tyre late on, because the soft tyre actually looked pretty good for the first 15 to 20 laps. So, and you can see, look, Ricciardo pulling away from Norris. He's pulled a bit of a gap. So, Ricciardo looking pretty good. Also, Carlos Sainz, you have to say, looking very good so far in the McLaren. As Gasly catching Norris, who doesn't have DRS. on Ricciardo. That's how much he fell back. And Norris will open the DRS now. He's within DRS of Ricciardo, going down to turn 4. But he's not close enough to get any sort of move done. I will say it's a bit of a shame Alpha have fallen back a bit, but they are still, for now, looking good for a P8 and P9 finish for this race. So, Alpha still looking good. As Gasly, Norris, and Ricciardo now come up to the final 2 corners. I'm going to try now and post a picture actually of Lando Norris, because he has been really at the centre of the action today. As Max Verstappen is continuously catching Sebastian Vettel. He's about 2.5 behind now, as we're now on lap 41 out of 71. So only 30, of course, to go. And Norris again closes in on Daniel Ricciardo. And he's a bit closer now. Yeah, he's definitely closer now. Will Norris get the move done? Down into turn 4, round the outside. And he will, surely. Yes, he does. Vital move for Lando Norris up to a net P6. But for now, P7. I'll update that in the order in just a moment. I just want to show Norris quickly on the screen. There you go. That's from earlier. But Lando looking, yeah, good at the moment. Let me quickly update that. And Nib, for the battle for third, do you think Verstappen can beat Vettel to that? Because you have to say, ever since the pit stops, as Carlos Sainz pits, Verstappen has clearly been faster than Sebastian.
I think he will be able to close up to Sebastian Vettel, but I think you got to remember what engine is in the back of that Ferrari, and I don't think there will be any chance of actually Max passing Sebastian Vettel, but he's certainly looking quick, and of course he pumped in a very quick lap time a couple laps ago. It wasn't quite the fastest lap, but there was the purple sector. I remember seeing it flash up on my timing screen just in front of me, so that's for sure that Max is quick, as Gasly has not been able to get past Ricciardo. Surprise, surprise. At least not yet. He needs to get past as soon as possible if he wants to stay with Norris, because Norris is starting to streak away from Ricciardo. And of course, Gasly wants to be staying with Norris. So it's quite important that Gasly is able to find himself way past Ricciardo on this upcoming lap, which of course we are now on lap 43. And I've just started to notice that Bottas is taking a little bit of time out of Leclerc, a couple of tenths here and there. And just as I was speaking about purple sectors with Verstappen, he's just set the fastest middle sector of the Grand Prix so far, and the gap is now about 2 seconds. But Ricciardo getting a little bit of a tow from Norris in front is just helping him defend here. Yes, and he's within DRS actually, so there's absolutely no chance.
Fastest lap, by the Ricciardo, way, for Verstappen.
Trust me, I've seen. No chance of Ricciardo getting overtaken there by Gasly. And of course, as you mentioned, Max Verstappen, fastest lap of the Grand Prix, 108.3, which was 3 tenths faster than Sebastian Vettel. But geez, a second quicker than Lewis Hamilton on the previous lap. I don't know if Hamilton has some other damage, or if they're just managing his car now until the end of the race, because they probably realize the best he can get is P5. But now Verstappen under 2 seconds from Vettel, and I think this is where we're going to be keeping our eyes on towards the front of the grid. And now he's just set another purple middle sector. Verstappen really is flying here, that is for sure, as Carlos Sainz has just set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, as he's pit for hard tyres.
That's incredible. Carlos Sainz 108.2, 14th fastest lap of the race. Now Max Verstappen does the fastest lap of 108.1. So you can't say the drivers aren't pushing. They absolutely are. By the way, Pierre Gasly has just, again, out of camera, passed Daniel Ricciardo. So Gasly's up to 7th, and Ricciardo is now down to 8th. But Ricciardo has good pace for considering the tyres he is on. But now the question is, can Gasly catch? And here we go, another replay. And pretty simple. Good run off turn 1, DRS open, nothing Ricciardo could do. Ricciardo didn't even defend because he knew that Pierre Gasly had the speed to get past. But there you go. But yeah, Max Verstappen now 1.3 behind Vettel. Vettel is struggling. And if Verstappen can, and as you said, Nib, because of the power difference, it will be hard. But if he can pass Vettel, Bottas is not that far ahead. Bottas is only 3 seconds clear of Vettel, and we've got 25 laps left. It's lap 46 out of 71. So he can definitely, if he can get past Vettel, he can definitely get Bottas. But as you said, passing Vettel with the power Vettel has behind him will be pretty hard, as Carlos Sainz is now making his way up the field. He's passed Lance Stroll. I have to say, Stroll today not having that great of a day. His teammate Perez definitely having a better day than Stroll is. By the way, go on.
Might I just say, Sebastian Vettel is by no means quick. He's actually the third quickest driver on the grid on the track at the moment. But Max Verstappen just has absolutely fantastic pace in that Red Bull. So it's by no means that poor pace from Sebastian Vettel. It's just a fantastic pace that Max and this Red Bull has this afternoon at the Austrian Grand Prix, and it has just gone at about 35 degrees centigrade. So very, very mild in Austria. I was going to say that again, but Max nearly within that magic 1 second margin. He's got it now as he's getting a little bit of a slipstream from Sebastian on the run down to turn 3. And on the next lap, he probably will be close enough and getting that all important DRS, because as soon as he gets that, he'll be able with him. Has he got it there? No, he doesn't have it there. But he's certainly within a second is Max Verstappen. And not only is Verstappen closing in on Vettel, Vettel is also closing on Valtteri Bottas. The gap between Bottas and Hamilton, between Vettel and Bottas is about 2.5 seconds, as we've just had Daniel Ricciardo pit now off of his 45-lap-old medium compound tyres.
And look how close Verstappen is. 4 tenths behind, now half a second. Verstappen, he's definitely going to pass Vettel, no doubt about it. That Red Bull is way quicker right now. And he's got DRS now. And here we go. Verstappen versus Vettel for P3. Verstappen, DRS open. Here we go. He's going to gain not that much in the DRS, but still gain a bit. And Vettel is not really defending, but is kind of defending as...
Ooh. Is that a bit of smoke out the back of the...
It looked as though, yeah. But for the now, it looks as though his car is fine. And he's going to go for it. Round the outside, Verstappen. But Vettel covers his basis very good, of course. Vettel, 4-time world champion. You'd expect that for Verstappen getting a great run out of 4. But no, doesn't get past. But you have to say, if Verstappen can get a couple tenths closer on the straight, he will be passed and right up to the back of Valtteri Bottas, without a doubt. That Red Bull right now looks very, very quick. I just want to update the rest of the order. So Perez...
Ricciardo did go on soft tyres, by the way.
Okay, that's good to see, because now we can attack. So Perez is 10th. Look at Carlos Sainz. He's now up to 11th. Carlos Sainz is flying at the moment. And then it's Stroll in 13th. And Daniel Ricciardo is in 14th. Here comes Verstappen again up to turn 3. And no, not close enough. It might have just been a lock-up, that bit of smoke, Nib, by the way. And here, he's definitely closer now. Max Verstappen rounding outside at turn 4. Will he get the move done? No. Vettel again, very aggressive when he defends, and he is very good at that so far. And the longer he keeps Verstappen behind, that's good news for Leclerc and Bottas, because Max Verstappen absolutely is the quickest driver on track. And by the way, if you're wondering about Lewis Hamilton, he's currently P5 and miles off the pace. He's almost, not a pit stop behind, but he's 3/4 of the way there. That's how slow he is behind Vettel and Verstappen. As Verstappen again opens the DRS. Can he get past Vettel? By the way, despite Vettel having to defend, he's still catching Bottas, is Vettel. So Valtteri going quite slow. And Verstappen, to me, looks slightly closer on this lap. And yeah, Vettel there defending a bit harder as Sainz is now up into the points. Look at the traction Verstappen gets out of turn 3. DRS wide open, surely this time. Rounding outside at turn 4. Yes, he gets it done. Don't lock up Max. He doesn't, as the Dutch army goes crazy, and Max Verstappen up to 3rd. And at this rate, he can absolutely beat Bottas for P2, because that Red Bull is absolutely in its element. This is the fastest Red Bull have looked all season long. Great move.
Absolutely. This is by far the fastest Red Bull have been all season long, and Max Verstappen is only 2 seconds behind Valtteri Bottas. So the way that Max has been going, I think he'll be, as he's just set the fastest lap, as Vettel is pitted. Vettel's in the pits.
The soft tyres, possibly? Is it? Yes, it is. Soft tyre, slow pit stop. Very slow pit stop. Yeah, 107.8 for Verstappen. By the way, look at Carlos Sainz. He's all over the back of Giovinazzi now. Sainz is flying. Sainz could catch Gasly at this rate. Even Norris. Sainz is on another planet compared to the midfield. And yeah, Vettel in the pits. Hamilton now up to 4th. And I think, Nib, it's a similar situation to last year. Most can do a one stop, but the tyres are not hanging on well, even if you are doing one. But yeah, Carlos Sainz now right behind Antonio Giovinazzi for P9, as Max Verstappen, look, is about a second faster than Bottas. That is unbelievably quick at this point of the Grand Prix. And Vettel now 8 seconds behind Hamilton. And, well, what does Lewis Hamilton do at this point? Because he's definitely going to get past, surely. As here's a replay of Verstappen going clean around the outside of Vettel. Great move. Then covered the inside. That is textbook overtaking by Max Verstappen. And let me quickly post a picture of a Red Bull for you guys, as we're seeing replays of the move. Go ahead.
Max Verstappen's pace is absolutely incredible. I would not be ruling him out of potentially a race victory at this stage. He is now just over a second behind Valtteri Bottas. He is about lapping half a second quicker per lap than Bottas and Leclerc ahead of him. Max Verstappen is absolutely on a charge with the power of the Dutch army. I don't know what can stop Max Verstappen this afternoon. He was very patient there, didn't rush into a move there with Sebastian Vettel. Vettel defended very well, but in the end, Verstappen was just too quick and used his brain. And when you see drivers use his brain with the talent that he has, you can see what happens. And on track this afternoon, Max Verstappen, apart from his start, has been superb, but there is still a long way to go in this race. Of course, we're on lap 53 of 71, and Max, he's going to get DRS, is he? Yes, he's just timed that perfectly as Max. He's going to get DRS from that racing point.
Yeah, he does.
And now he will certainly close up within a second of Valtteri Bottas by the time we cross over for the next lap. So Max Verstappen on an absolute tear.
By the way, Sainz up to 9th. He's now 1.2 behind Raikkonen. I'm telling you, Carlos Sainz could finish 6th or 7th. He has overtook Stroll, Hülkenberg, Perez, and Giovinazzi, and his fastest lap of the race so far for Sainz is only 4/10 off the fastest lap overall. So Carlos is on an absolute tear in that McLaren. The McLaren looking so good, as Max Verstappen is now almost within DRS of Valtteri Bottas. Give it another 10th of a second, and he's right there. And as you said, Nib, with 17 laps to go, if he can get past Bottas quick, he could win the race. He's that fast. And is he within DRS? Surely he's within DRS now. He has to be.
He should be, yes.
As Vettel does the fastest lap, 1:07.7 on the soft tyres, but only a 10th faster than Verstappen's fastest lap. As
Verstappen did have slipstream DRS.
True. Carlos Sainz, by the way, has passed Kimi Raikkonen. So Sainz is on an absolute, as I said, an absolute tear. Raikkonen down to 9th. So Alpha 9th and 10th. Hopefully it doesn't get any worse. But saying that, Sergio Perez is now within a second, or just about, of Giovinazzi. So Alpha starting to struggle now. As, yeah.
Look how good the Red Bull is through the last sector.
It's incredible.
Closed half a second in the last sector.
It's absolutely incredible. And I think, honestly, Valtteri Bottas at this point, look at the speed he gained on the straight there. Bottas is no way in hell is he going to lose or not lose this position. He's absolutely going to lose position to Max Verstappen. That Red Bull is on another level right now, as they now come through the exit of 3 into 4. Verstappen, for the moment, not close enough, but there's no way Bottas is going to stay ahead of that Red Bull. That Red Bull right now is on another level compared to that Mercedes, as Vettel not massively gaining on Hamilton. So I think Ferrari may have blown a couple points there, as I'll post a picture now of when Max passed Vettel around the outside at turn 4. Let me just get it up for you guys.
Hamilton all of a sudden has started to show his pace once again. As was said before, he was just managing his race, managing his engine and all that sort of thing. But now he's showing the true pace of the car, and Vettel indeed is not gaining too much on him. But it's interesting that down into turn 1, that's where Max is gaining the most, as he's now, of course, in the
Here we go.
And he got DRS. He is closing very rapidly here as Max Verstappen. He's going to go down the inside of Valtteri Bottas. Fantastic move there by Max Verstappen as the Dutch army implodes once more, and Max Verstappen is up into P2, and he is now only 5.5 seconds off the lead of the Grand Prix.
Absolutely great race here by Verstappen. By the way, can I just say, Bottas, what was he doing? Didn't even try to defend that. Yes, Verstappen was quick, but no defense whatsoever. As Martin Brundle would famously say, he might as well have had an arrow saying, pass me here, on the back of his car, because he basically let him through. As Verstappen, look at the speed. His gate is now down to 5 seconds. He could win this race. Charles Leclerc is under threat with 15 to go here in Austria. If Max Verstappen wins this, this will be the best win of his career so far, with no doubt whatsoever, if he can get that win. And yeah, look at this. Bottas didn't even try to defend, and Verstappen goes clean up the inside. And I think Verstappen also deliberately made sure he was still behind in the DRS detection so he could get DRS. So very smart there by Max Verstappen. And now gets after Charles Leclerc. This is unbelievable. Who expected this? Who thought Max Verstappen was going to be this quick? This is unbelievable stuff by the Flying Dutchman, and Toto Wolff, I think, has come to the realization that Mercedes' 100% win record is over, surely, with only, 13, 14 laps to go. Let's see what Verstappen now has on Leclerc. He was 7/10 faster on the last lap. There's a lot of traffic ahead of Verstappen. The two Alphas and Perez is that traffic. I don't know how much time, though, he gained on that lap. I don't think he did gain that much on that lap at all. On Charles Leclerc, but at least Verstappen will get DRS, I guess. I don't know.
Leclerc did set his personal best lap, which was just a couple of hundredths faster than Max Verstappen on the previous lap.
So Leclerc, understandably now, has to push because he is at risk of losing this race if Verstappen catches him like he caught Bottas and especially his teammate Sebastian Vettel. By the way, Vettel is now starting to catch Hamilton, and Ricciardo, by the way, was 15 seconds behind Stroll. Now he's 3 seconds behind after about 10, 12 laps. So Daniel Ricciardo travelling very quickly, and he could, at the end, nick a point. You never know. He is very, very quick. As Verstappen on that lap, fastest lap for Max Verstappen, not massively faster than Leclerc, 107.7. He was about, 3 to 4 tenths faster than Charles Leclerc that lap?
2.5 tenths of a second quicker was Verstappen over Leclerc. Leclerc really stepping up his pace, that is for sure.
Absolutely, but at least look, Verstappen gets DRS, so that'll help him along to catch Leclerc. As blue flags there for Giovinazzi, I believe. And he goes down the inside, does Max Verstappen. Just want to read out quickly a super chat from Alan Giao, I think it is. Sorry if I mispronounced your last name. But he says, for $5, first win for Honda since 2006 would be great. It would. But let's wait and see whether that does happen. Because Charles Leclerc is still a pretty good driver. And that Ferrari is still very quick around here. So let's see what Verstappen can do. As we are now on lap 60 out of 71, as Verstappen, I don't think gained on that lap. I think he lost maybe a tenth on that lap to Charles Leclerc. By the way, I'll get up the Verstappen pass on Bottas as soon as I can, once I can find a picture of it. As Verstappen now, he passed Kimi Räikkönen about 50 laps ago. Now he's lapping him. Just shows you how quick that Red Bull has been in the hands of Max Verstappen. He's now dropping time to Leclerc. So I think his late race charge is over. But you never know.
As you said that.
Just
as you said that, he's gained about half a second on this lap so far.
By the way, Hamilton is really gaining on Bottas. He's only 10 seconds behind. Vettel is still slowly but surely gaining on Hamilton. Carlos Sainz is still gaining on Gasly. So Sainz will be right there at the end of the race. Ricciardo now right behind Lance Stroll. So it's all going off now in the last 10 laps. As Max Verstappen does a 107.4. And it's down to 4.2 with 10 laps to go. As he now comes up to turn 3, and if that Honda power unit has anything or any more power left in it, he's got to use it because he can win this race if he has enough speed. As also, he's pulled away from Bottas at about a second a lap, if not even more. That's how quick Max Verstappen is.
On the last lap, it was a second and a half.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. As not Sebastian Vettel, Charles Leclerc is about to lap Pierre Gasly. So if Red Bull are smart, they'll get Gasly to hold him up for a couple corners. Of course, it's against the rules, but that's how teams work. As Leclerc, he has to come across Sainz first, and then it will be Gasly shortly after that. But now it's officially 10 laps to go, of course, including the final lap. Verstappen was faster again that lap by about 3 tenths of a second, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. And it's now down to 3.8 as Vettel, is now within 2.5 of Hamilton for 4th. So, really closing up now. Ricciardo, 6 tenths behind Lance Stroll. By the way, can I just mention that Kevin Magnussen is still behind George Russell in the Williams? He's 6 seconds behind. What is going on for Haas? Grosjean is 16th, not really racing anyone. Very, very poor for Haas, you have to say. 16th and 19th, and everyone so far is finishing this Grand Prix. And Verstappen is massively up on this lap. He's massively up. This is going to be a big gain for Max Verstappen.
Yeah, Leclerc getting held up with that traffic, that's for sure.
And they've got Gasly and Norris to come up for traffic as well. Here comes Max Verstappen, who takes, what, a 7-8 tenths out of him that lap?
8 tenths of a second on that lap for Max Verstappen.
8 tenths. If he can close in at that speed, then Max Verstappen can win this race. As I think he gets, yes, he does, gets DRS with Sainz there. That will help by a couple tenths of a second. Now Leclerc is about to lap, I think it's a Haas. I think. Yes, it is. Kevin Magnussen, who is having a Canadian-style race. Magnussen almost taking out Leclerc there, locking up the inside front. As Verstappen continues to close. And the gap not coming down as much on this lap. It's still coming down, but not as much as it was on the previous lap. I think Verstappen is about 2 tenths of a second faster so far on this lap, down to 2.8. As Verstappen here will now get DRS on the Haas, gets past him. And yeah, so lap 64 out of 71. Leclerc leading from Verstappen by 2.5 seconds, as Sebastian Vettel is now 2 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton for P4. Let me just quickly... I can't find a picture of Verstappen passing Bottas, but I'll leave the picture on screen for now because that's what could happen pretty soon. As Verstappen again... taking a lot out of Leclerc this lap, I think. Already about 3 or 4 tenths up. And look at the traffic. You've got Williams of Russell, then Gasly. So Leclerc, if he doesn't deal with the back mark as well, that'll let Max Verstappen close in even more. Now down to, and Leclerc has to go slightly off the racing line. That will slightly affect his tyres, but not massively.
One thing's for sure, Verstappen certainly had the rub of the green when it comes to lapped traffic. And of course, after they have to get through Gasly, then they have to get through Norris as well. So lots of traffic, and it could be a very crucial deciding factor, as that was Robert Kubica getting out of the way awfully. And there you go. Half a whole second quicker on the last lap was Max Verstappen.
Oh, he's so close. Lap 65 out of 71. He's, look at that, now 1.4. We're in for a great end to this race. And well, I was saying that this race wasn't looking too good a few moments ago, but now it's looking like a classic possibly, as Leclerc now has to try and lap Gasly. Then it'll be Norris. Carlos Sainz has fell off quite a bit from Gasly for some reason, but Verstappen, he's just over a second behind. If he can get, and Ricciardo, by the way, has just passed Stroll for 13th. As Verstappen now 1.2 behind. He's gained another 3/4 of a second, I think, on Leclerc.
And all he needs is to get within DRS, and then he can just focus on closing the gap to Leclerc. And then, of course, he has quite a number of laps left until the end of the race. Of course, it is lap 66, folks. Of course, for those who are listening, is lap 66. As Max Verstappen, has he got DRS? No, he hasn't quite. He hasn't quite got it yet. But he is very close now, as Leclerc is coming up to lap Pierre Gasly, and then after Gasly, there is Norris and Kubica, and then that should be it for the rest of the race. So once the leaders of Leclerc and Verstappen get past, that will be it.
And Verstappen is now within DRS of Leclerc. He will get DRS at the end of this lap, as Gasly lets through his teammate and Leclerc. So 7 tenths of a second separates Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen. Now we come on to lap 67 out of 71. Here we go. 5 laps left. Race win between Verstappen and Leclerc. And Verstappen will now gain massively through turn 1. He's about just under half a second behind. And Max closing in now. And will he get the move done? Down the inside. Leclerc defends. And Verstappen will try to do a switch back out of this corner. Look, that's very smart by Charles Leclerc to do that. Very, very smart driving. But Verstappen will get DRS. And when you go around the outside, he was thinking about a dummy there. He was definitely thinking about that.
Oh,
Leclerc's gone wide. And Verstappen, will he get the run? No, he won't for now. But surely he will pass Leclerc before the end. Surely he will pass Leclerc. Leclerc doesn't have any grip compared to Max Verstappen. By the way, Vettel now within a second of Hamilton. So that's another thing coming up in a moment for P4. Here comes Verstappen then now 6/10 behind. Look at the extra speed Verstappen can carry into that final corner. So much more speed. As he now comes up to turn 1, he's ducking and diving to try and put Leclerc off. And he's closer. He's definitely closer this time. And now closes in again in the DRS. Can he send the Dutch army crazy? Yes, he does. Down the inside. And he gets the move done. Max Verstappen up to first. And they're going to
he's still there on the outside.
And yet Verstappen gets the DRS. But Leclerc's back in front. Verstappen now round the outside. Can he get the move done for the win? No, he can't. Leclerc back in front. Great defensive driving by Charles Leclerc.
With no DRS. He didn't have DRS, Leclerc. Still got past him.
Absolutely brilliant. And Vettel now is in DRS of Lewis Hamilton. Wow, what an end. What an end to this race. As now we're about to come onto lap 69. There's a Williams there. He just about gets out the way. Verstappen loses about 3/10. But he still has time.
Get out the bloody way.
He still has time though, Verstappen. Look, and he's now right back behind. And can he now get? He's got DRS again. He's about as close as he was a couple laps ago. And here he comes again on Charles Leclerc. Down the inside again. Will Verstappen get it done?
He goes deeper. He forces him off the track.
And Verstappen gets the lead, but will there... I hope there's not a penalty, but no, in the FIA there will be. Max Verstappen leads in Austria with 2 laps to go, or 3 laps to go. Well, 2.5 to go. Max Verstappen...
Leclerc lost the rear end there.
Has now got the lead. What a performance. And if he wins, he is absolutely deserving. This is one of the best drives I have seen since I've started watching Formula 1. What an incredible drive from Max Verstappen. Here we go, down the inside. And if the FIA punished that, they are absolute idiots.
We're going to be in for a long, long evening.
They better not punish that, because Leclerc had nowhere. He was not going to make any move back on Verstappen. No way at all. Verstappen's got the lead. That's hard racing. Get on with it. As now we are on lap 70 out of 71.
We've seen on the previous lap that Leclerc was able to hold it around the outside, and Max for sure made sure that he wasn't able to that time.
Yeah, he did. As look, this is Vettel and Hamilton. Don't go into the back of him.
Oh God!
He almost slammed into the back of him, and Vettel could get P4 here. Here we go, 4- and 5-time world champion here, racing for position. Vettel round the outside and sails around the outside like Hamilton's a rookie. Great pass then. Valtteri Bottas not that far ahead, as we are now about to start the final lap of what has been truly an epic and memorable Grand Prix in Austria. Max Verstappen leading after being P7 at the end of the first lap. He was P7 at the end of lap 1, and on lap 71 he is, with half a lap to go, about to win the Austrian Grand Prix again. And if anyone thinks out there that Max Verstappen this season hasn't been the best driver and that he isn't driver of the day today, I don't know what is wrong with you, because he has been utterly brilliant in this race. Nib, what do you think about him quickly before we get to the end?
He's been absolutely superb. And for those people who have doubted his talent, well, I think he's just shown you how good he has been since Monaco last year. He's been the best driver on the grid since he made that mistake in free practice 3 before qualifying, cost himself pole position that weekend. And now winning the Austrian Grand Prix for the second year in a row is Max Verstappen. What a fantastic drive that is. He wins the race with the fastest lap as well. Simply superb, Max Verstappen.
Great drive, great race. That is Formula One at its absolute finest. Great race here in Austria. Verstappen winning from Charles Leclerc in second. Third, Valtteri Bottas. Fourth, Sebastian Vettel, right behind Bottas at the end. And here we go. Vettel, he's giving it everything, throwing the car in. Vettel trying everything to get a podium. Imagine if he got a podium, that would have made the race even better. Vettel fourth, Hamilton fifth, Norris sixth, Gasly seventh, Sainz 8th, Raikkonen 9th, and for God's sake.
And there we go.
Under investigation for Verstappen and Leclerc. If Verstappen gets a penalty, then Formula One is quite frankly dead. Raikkonen 9th, Giovinazzi 10th, out of the points but finishing. Well, everyone has finished. Perez, Ricciardo, Hulkenberg, Stroll, Albon, Grosjean, Kvyat, Russell, Magnussen. I just want to quickly post a picture of Verstappen getting that move done. And Nib, this is not a penalty, surely.
I don't think it's a penalty, but the way the FIA have been handling things as of recent, I don't see how they don't give it as a penalty. I don't think it's a penalty, but I wouldn't be surprised if Max Verstappen were to get a penalty for that. And we can't have this again. We can't have races being decided by penalties.
It's not a penalty. It's not a penalty because just before Leclerc got hit, there was nowhere Leclerc could go. So how is Leclerc going to really come back and make a re-overtake, because Verstappen covered that off? I'll analyse it tomorrow for sure in the incident analysis, but there you go. Race is finished. And let me quickly update the order because Ricciardo passed Hulkenberg late on. So Ricciardo up to 12th. Fastest lap of the race, Max Verstappen, 1:07.4. And by the way, guys, in the live chat, let us know, who is your driver of the day? For me, it's easily Max Verstappen. How could you go for anyone else? Still I Rise for $2 donate, saying let's go Max. Seb and Carlos, great drives as well. Also, let's not forget Carlos Sainz. Vettel drove well. Yeah, very, very good drives by them. But driver of the day, easily Max Verstappen in the Red Bull. And if you don't think this guy is not at a level of a Hamilton or a Vettel, I don't know what's wrong with you. He's clearly proven today with one of the best drives I've seen in the last decade. What a drive by Max Verstappen in the Red Bull, and what a great race that was. But let us know, guys, in the live chat for the next 20-25 minutes. What did you think of the race? Let us know, and we will read out your comments in regards to what you thought of the race for the next 25 minutes. And then around 5 to 5:15 p.m. UK time, I will upload a race review of this epic Austrian Grand Prix. Hopefully, Verstappen hasn't had the win took away from him by then, because he shouldn't do. He really should not have the race win took away. But let me see what you guys are saying also. Let me know your driver of the day as well. who is your driver of the day? For me, it has to be Max Verstappen. Also, again, shout outs for Carlos Sainz, and I'd say a bit to do with Vettel as well. But yeah, there you go. Oh, I'm having to cool down after that. That was an epic end to that race, wasn't it, Nib? It was so, so good. Oh, that was such a good end. Right. Let me find Huey Dex. Thank you very, very much for that. Saying you guys are the best commentators. By the way, if you did enjoy that race, we do watch-alongs for every single race in 2019. So yeah, don't forget, if you are new, to subscribe for that. Bottom right of the screen, or click on my channel name, go to the homepage and subscribe, and hit the notifications bell for more content like this. And also smash that like button if you want to see these videos continue on the channel. Right, let's see what you guys are saying. Henry says Charles should have backed out. By the way, Chewy Dex, thank you for subbing. Daniel McCluskey says, I swear if Max get a penalty, I swear I will be so annoyed if he does get a penalty. Right, let me find some others. Someone said Kimi Räikkönen as driver of the day. Tonka says Alpha did very well. True. Yabo, by the way, he asks, was there a penalty? We don't know yet. It's currently under investigation, so we don't know whether it is a penalty or not.
Hours.
Yeah, we'll know after all the videos are uploaded, which is not how it should be done. It should be done at the racetrack at the absolute time, the race finishes. But, there you go. Can we appreciate Giovinazzi in the points? Yep. I got to shout him out. Antonio Giovinazzi, first point of the season. I can't blame him for finishing P10, considering that Alpha, you have to say, didn't really have great pace in the second half of this Grand Prix. So, you have to say for Alpha, pace in the second half of the race was not good, but a double points finish, they will take that very, very nicely. And the Dutch Army now will celebrate. For now, Max Verstappen's win. Ruse a ruse. Imagine if Max had a normal start. He would have won by half a minute if he had a normal start. Emery says Gasly should be kicked out right now. He got lapped by his own teammate. True. You have to say it's true. To get lapped by your own teammate is so embarrassing. Especially if that's, the pace of your car, not, you having an issue. Great race by Leclerc too. Yeah, also Charles Leclerc, great race. Leclerc also, great defensive driving up until the point he was overtook. So absolutely, Charles Leclerc, great defensive driving and great drive today. But of course, when it mattered most at the very end, he didn't do enough. I think Verstappen was just too good, too quick, and now has moved up to third in the Drivers' Championship. Vettel is fourth, Leclerc is fifth, and then you got Gasly, Sainz, Norris, Ricciardo, Raikkonen, Ricciardo, and then the rest. But Nib, by the way, thank you to B saying thank you Chaz HD for hosting, no problem. Nib, who is your driver of the day? I think it is only one person, isn't it?
Yeah, it can only be Max Verstappen. Absolutely incredible drive, but looking back at the incident, on the second incident where he does shove Leclerc off the track, which he did do, he did go deeper into the corner. He didn't stay to the right as much as what he did to the last lap. It was very similar to the last lap where Charles went around the outside and then maintained position. I severely would not be surprised if Max Verstappen were to get a penalty. I think he could have left Leclerc room. He didn't leave Leclerc room. And judging off from what they said with Ricciardo and with with the Norris incident and sort of the way that they've been going down with penalties, I wouldn't be surprised if there is a penalty for Max Verstappen. Clearly driver of the day. but along with Carlos Sainz as well. By the way, fantastic drive by Carlos Sainz, getting P8 after starting at the back of the grid. He was very quick. And of course with Giovinazzi, he's been very good as Giovinazzi. I wasn't too sure, and same with you, that we weren't sure if he was if he was up to the caliber of Formula One. And over the past couple of weekends, he's been right up there with his teammate. He finished half a second behind his teammate, and quite clearly, Giovinazzi is showing that he deserves his seat in Formula One. But yeah, I think Max might get a penalty if I'm perfectly honest.
Do you think he might get a penalty, but do you think he deserves a penalty in your honest opinion?
I don't know. I have to see from his onboard footage and to see his steering angle.
I'll have to look at it also again, but my initial reaction is that I don't think Leclerc, because Verstappen, I think you said he went deeper into the corner this time to try and get the move done. I don't see where Leclerc could have gone even if he was left space, because Verstappen this time made sure that Leclerc couldn't get that exit before there was contact. So we'll see.
If you look at it, they're side by side, and then it looks like Max just continue his line over to the left, which then forces Leclerc off the track. That's what it certainly looks like from the off-board footage. Of course, it could look very different from the on-board footage, which we will see in the coming hours. But I think if Max had left room, I think the exact same what happened in the previous lap would have happened again. So it's certainly going to be a very controversial one, no matter which it's ruled, or of course if it isn't ruled and if it's just deemed a racing incident. Certainly some controversy to end the Austrian Grand Prix.
Definitely. And I will say, yeah, initially I don't think it's a penalty, but I'm not going to confirm that opinion as of yet because, as Nib said, I want to view the onboards after the race and also look at the offboards and just look at all the camera angles so we can see whether, it was a penalty or not for Verstappen. So I'm not going to confirm yet whether I think it's a penalty or not, but my initial reaction, based on what we have seen so far, we haven't seen a lot of evidence so far. I don't think it's a penalty, but we'll see. Once I get my hands on some screenshots and I can, look at the steering angles and put it this way, if Max Verstappen throws it down the inside there and is turning completely right by the time contact is made, then I think Verstappen is fine, but we'll have to see.
And I don't think he was, to be honest with you. I really don't think he was.
We'll have to see in the onboards after the race. But now, let me get rid of this stuff on the screen because I'm about to post the provisional race classification for this 2019 Austrian Grand Prix. So let me just get this up. Again, I stress provisional. Very, very provisional. Let me just get it on the screen, then I'll read it out. As, by the way, if you just joined us, yep, the race has, of course, finished. And here is your final provisional order. So, Max Verstappen, for now, has won the race. Charles Leclerc second, Valtteri Bottas third, Vettel fourth, Hamilton fifth. You have to say Mercedes had no pace today at all. Norris sixth, Gasly seventh, Sainz eighth, Raikkonen ninth, Giovinazzi 10th. And then finishing the race, but not in the points. By the way, everyone finished the race today. Great to see. Perez, Ricciardo, Hulkenberg, Stroll, Albon, Grosjean, Kvyat, Russell, Magnus and Kubica all finished, but did not finish in the points. By the way, I know Magnussen pitted a couple times, or a couple more times than Russell, but where he finished, I'm sorry, is not acceptable. And it's not acceptable really for Haas, who have been so bad in today's Grand Prix. But I'll come to the chat, guys, in just a moment. And by the way, yes, it is Honda's, for the moment, Honda's first win since 2006, since the classic 2006 Hungarian Grand Prix, and is only their second win in the 21st century. That is, yeah, that's incredible. If Honda have pulled it off, but we'll have to see. By the way, the Honda power unit, pretty good on those straights at the end. But let's read some of these comments before we head off after this race. Very, very sweaty race. Base Gamer says Leclerc. Oh no, Verstappen left no space. Leclerc almost had to turn into him. Can argue their first win on pace as well. Yeah, this is, well, that 2006 race, I don't necessarily think Button was the best driver that day in terms of pace, but yeah, for today, definitely Red Bull with Verstappen had the quickest car, and you have to say it's embarrassing for Pierre Gasly to be a lap down on his teammate. Kyle Greenwald, what a race, absolutely. Winger plays, great race overall. What a race again. And another one, great race, need more like this. It's true, we do need more like this. And I think Silverstone, we will get, maybe not a great race, but it will be good. Because Silverstone normally is never boring. We never tend to get a boring race. I'm seeing a replay now. So, oh no, that's the first one. We're just seeing, by the way, guys, on Sky F1, the replay of the Verstappen-Leclerc battle. But can I just say, how embarrassing, whether it's a penalty or not, how embarrassing is it that we have to watch a great battle on track and wonder if it's going to be a penalty or not? I don't like that at all. So Verstappen, right, so he straightened his car, then Leclerc turned, isn't on board.
Here we go.
Then he starts turning in, look. So, oh, that's difficult to say right now. Because he did straighten it, but then he started turning as soon as Leclerc started turning, so I'm not sure. That's difficult to say. I'll have to look later on. But I don't even know what to say. Silverstone, yeah. Silverstone will be pretty good. I don't think it'll be bad. We never really get bad races. And if we get a race like we had last year at Silverstone, we're in for another classic like today. And, well, Silverstone, we should see Ferrari back up there again, because Silverstone is basically now a power track from the exit of Luffield up until the final two corners. So, yeah. Connor Chapman says that was clean, Chaz. That's called racing. Again, I'll have to look at it again, but it's hard to say right now because, you know, it's heat of the moment still, and I need to look at... You really do need to look at screenshots and slow motion to see, because...
And following the precedent that's been set from Canada.
Yeah.
That's the issue here. What's
yeah.
the precedent that's been set from Canada? Because before the season, racing incident, get on with your business. But after what's happened since Canada, they're probably going to give it a penalty.
Yeah. I think if it happened before Canada, I don't think it would be a penalty. But because of that incident, now everything is under the microscope. Right, let me find some others here. We're seeing the replay of it so many times. It's really hard to say at the moment because it's close. But this is the thing.
We need Karen Chandok's Sky Padded breakdown.
This is another problem. It's because the stewards in F1 are different from race to race. They might look at it differently from what, say, the stewards in France did or Canada. So I don't know how they'll look at it. Maybe they'll just call it a racing incident, depending on who's in there and what their opinion of racing is. But it's difficult to say. Hopefully, the right decision does come out. But I think, as you said, Nib, no matter what happens, everyone's going to be angry. whether you're a Ferrari, Leclerc, or a Verstappen or Red Bull fan, someone is going to be angry no matter what happens. Jay Crail says, "I wish Charlie Whiting lived long enough." I think honestly, the FI decisions, no coincidence, have got worse since he sadly passed away because he was so great in his role. And I think since the new person's been put in, I can't remember his name is. The FIA decisions haven't been that great since then. Connor Chapman says, "But yeah, I agree since Canada and whatnot, but that is a strong, hard..." Oh my god, hold on. The chat's going by so quickly. "But that is a strong, hard, and honestly, after seeing it, clean move. The car was faster. He had Leclerc beat." Put it this way: 20 years ago, we would not be having this debate whatsoever because, back in the good old days, that would have been fine. But of course, there are a lot more rules these days. But I think, guys, we are going to come to the end in a moment because, one, we've been on almost 3 hours, and two, I think I need a slight rest before I get recording this race review for Austria. McClaw Larson, great to see you. Old time sub. Says Gasly is gone. What a race I'm seeing there. Probable Paul says, "Think Max is shackled." Robert says, "Nice battle between Vettel and Hamilton." Rook Weeb says, "Leclerc fans becoming more toxic." Well, at this current time, everyone is going to be toxic, I guess, because there's going to be, plenty of different opinions flying around. By the way, thanks Annette, who says thanks Chaz and thanks Niblo for the stream. And thank you to Connor Chapman, who says the same as well. Chris B, will penalty be decided before podium? Podium has already finished. We've already had the podium celebrations. So the penalty will be decided probably in the next 2 hours. Right. Let me... someone saying there, just forgot your name. Someone said that Max deserves a championship car. Well, I think today has proved that if he was in a championship car, he would be contending for the World Championship. There is not a doubt about that whatsoever. Patrick says no penalty in his opinion. Victor Wong says Max should be penalised. So does Scott. Philip says, "What's your opinion on the penalty?" I'll leave that as the final comment. So for now, again, I'm yet to confirm my opinion. Please remember that. I'm not absolutely saying what my final opinion on the incident is yet because I need to look at more evidence of what happened. But I think Verstappen he should probably just about get away with it. But again, I need to look at more evidence. So don't quote me on that until tomorrow, 12 p.m. By the way, guys, tomorrow, 12 p.m. UK time, I will be uploading a video analysing that incident, whether he gets a penalty or not. So make sure to subscribe, notifications bell on, and come along to that tomorrow and give your opinion on what happened and whether it was a penalty or not, and I'll interact with you. But that is it, guys, for what has been a great weekend in Austria and a great race. Nib, great to have you back, and that was definitely our best, not in terms of viewership, I think, but in terms of the race quality, that's our best watch along yet, and great to have you along and, living those exciting moments at the end. Great to have you, mate.
Certainly was extremely, extremely exciting towards the end. Great to be back for that, that's for sure. As now, we're going to have some proper breakdown by Paul DeResta on the Skypad, so I'm sure we'll sort of make up our mind. But I'm very 50-50 about this. I'm really not sure where I stand on this, if I'm perfectly honest. I've got no idea. I'm sure many of us have got no idea and we will see over the next coming hours what the decision and who wins the Grand Prix will be. But of course, thank you to everyone in chat for coming along and participating in the stream as per usual. And I will see you all guys next time. Have a good evening.
Yeah, thanks, Nev, for coming along, and it has been great to have you back, as always. But guys, yeah, we are done for this race watch along. Thank you guys so much for being along for this stream. Every single one of you who has been a part of the stream, you are a massive part of the stream, and you are what makes this stream so great and successful. So thank you so much for coming along. And if you are new, don't forget to subscribe for more watch alongs in 2019. We'll do the same for Silverstone in a fortnight's time. Also, I will be uploading my race review in probably an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. So 5 or 5 p.m. UK time. 5:15 p.m. UK time, something like that. So yeah, that will be coming out then. And then tomorrow, guys, again, don't forget to come along to the channel, 12 p.m. UK time, where I will analyse the Verstappen-Leclerc incident, whether it's a penalty or not. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe, bottom right of the screen, or go to my homepage and do it there, and hit the notifications bell. Smash the like if you want to see this content continue. Comment down below what you thought of this video and what you thought of the Austrian Grand Prix. As well, very important, don't forget to join our Discord, link below in the description. That is the best place for notifications, and is also the hardcore Chazza HDF1 community there. We've got about, or just under 300 people. But yeah, the Discord is the best place for notifications for my videos and live streams. So make sure to join that. And as well, follow me on Twitter at Chaz6110 and check out my website, chazahd.com, for more content like this. But guys, until my race review in an hour, my incident analysis of the Verstappen and Leclerc incident, tomorrow at 12 p.m. UK time, and until the next race at Silverstone in a fortnight, it has been me, Chazza HD. Goodbye.